My wife is a beautiful CEO. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 401, The Zhou Family's Big Secret. Su Chen released his Bincheng. Sure enough, he soon found Mr. Long's base. It was a large manor. In the middle was a quadrangle. Around it, there were small courtyards of various styles. It seemed that the quadrangle in the middle was Mr. Long's own residence. The small courtyards around were for those innate strongmen to live and use. Su Chen's Bincheng quickly circled around. Sure enough, he found Han Dao's Heng in the dungeon and some other prisoners. It seemed that Long Heian had a lot of people imprisoned here. Su Chen retracted his Bincheng, took out his mobile phone, and contacted Qi Hetao and Li Changqing. Done. Let's go to the island. Su Chen hung up the phone and looked at Long Heian again. Long Heian's face was extremely ugly. Since Su Chen asked the tiger guards and police symbols to come up, it seemed that he was not going to make peace with him. Who did you call? Is it Qi Hetao and Li Changqing? Long Heian stared at Su Chen and asked with the last bit of hope. Su Chen nodded. Long Heian's face was gloomy. He struggled and asked, "Can you spare my life? I can give you everything." Su Chen shook his head. "Impossible. Besides, I'm not interested in your things. You." Long Heian felt helpless and powerless. Meeting someone like Su Chen who was stubborn really made him feel helpless. Su Chen looked at Long Heian and asked, "By the way, you haven't told me yet, what kind of power are you from?" Long Heian gritted his teeth and said, "I can't say." Su Chen smiled. "Guess. Do I have any means of torture or forced confession?" Long Heian's face changed. He gritted his teeth and said, "Even if you torture me to death, I won't tell you. You have to know that death and painful torture are not the most terrible. If I tell it, my family will only be more miserable." At this point, Long Heian's eyes turned red. Su Chen sneered, "You still have a family? When you hurt others, have you ever thought about other people's families?" Long Heian looked ugly and didn't dare to respond. "I'm too lazy to ask you. Anyway, as long as they don't provoke me anymore, it has nothing to do with me," Su Chen said indifferently. In fact, although Su Chen has the means to torture people, it may not work on people like Long Heian. Long Heian is a top-level innate master, and his mental power is also extremely strong. Therefore, the soul bewitching charm and mental power control may not be effective on him. And if drugs or silver needles are used, I'm afraid that this guy may have also undergone relevant training. For the sake of his family, he can endure, even if it hurts to death. Seeing Su Chen's attitude, a trace of gratitude flashed in Long Heian's eyes. He hurriedly said, "Mr. Su, since you don't torture me, in return, I will also give you a piece of information." Su Chen immediately became interested. "What information do you have for me?" Su Chen asked. Long Heian said, "You are from the Zhou family in Bincheng, right?" Su Chen nodded. "Yes." Long Heian continued, "The Zhou family in Bincheng may have a big secret, and there are big people who are watching the Zhou family." Su Chen was stunned. Big people are watching the Zhou family? What secrets does the Zhou family have that are worth the big people watching? Su Chen suddenly thought of something. That is, the huge benefit that his grandfather had told him. He would get a huge benefit after marrying Zhou Wanqiu for a year. Could it be that this so-called benefit was what attracted the big shots? Su Chen looked at Long Heian and asked, "What secret are you talking about? Who is the big shot?" Long Heian smiled bitterly. "If even I know it, what kind of secret is it? As for the big shot, I only know that he is very big." Su Chen asked, "How big is he?" Long Heian thought for a while. "You should know that at the beginning it was the Zhenshan who targeted the Zhou family in Bincheng. Later, even the Ran family in the provincial capital was involved. In fact, he Zhenshan and the Ran family are just running dogs and hawks." Su Chen was stunned. He Zhenshan is not worth mentioning. I understand that. But, isn't the Ran family one of the 8 major families in the provincial capital? Such a big family is just a running dog of others? Long Heian smiled and asked back, "The Yan family of Yicheng is known as the #1 family to the outside world. Isn't it powerful? But I can change the head of the Yan family with just one word. Then Li Changqing is responsible for the security system of the entire Yichen. Isn't he powerful? But I can make the whole Yichen chaotic with just one word and make Li Changqing resign. Do you think that Mr. Long is a big shot? Logically, a person like me should be considered a local lord. But in fact, I'm just a small person whose life and death can be decided by a word. This world is very complicated. Many people and families who are called strong and giants on the surface may just be a card. Su Chen nodded. It seems that the water in the provincial capital is probably deeper than that in Yichen. Su Chen asked again, do you know more about the Zhou family? Long Heian thought about it and said, maybe, there are more than one group of people eyeing the Zhou family. Moreover, they may not be in the provincial capital, but in a more powerful place. Su Chen frowned secretly. It seems that the situation is quite troublesome. However, he is not worried. As long as he waits patiently, the other party will definitely show his feet. Moreover, as long as he works hard to practice and break through to the land immortal, by then, no matter what tricks the other party has, Su Chen will not be afraid. By the way, what's the matter with you Xinyu? Su Chen asked again. Long Heian said, it's also because of the White Dragon King. Su Chen said, Yu Fule is his rival and doesn't want him to sign a contract. Long Heian said, that's right. Behind his rival is actually the White Dragon King. Money can move people's hearts, and the White Dragon King is interested in the cooperation that Yu Fule is talking about. But he can't compete with Yu Fule, so he can only think like this. Su Chen frowned and asked, then why doesn't he just attack Yu Fule? Long Heian shook his head. Yu Fule is not a fool. There are many masters around him. Besides, if there is evidence of such a thing, the authorities will not stand idly by. Even the White Dragon King doesn't want to attract too much attention from the authorities. You know, the Tiger Capture Guard is not the strongest force of the authorities to deal with warriors. If the authorities send a stronger force, the White Dragon King will not be able to withstand it. Su Chen suddenly realized. He had thought about it in the past, and he had come into contact with several groups of the 12 Tiger Capture Guards in Dongzhou province. There are the Tiger Group, the Dragon Group, the Monkey Group, the Rooster Group, etc. It seems that the highest combat power of each group is the leader of a peak Zhuanjin master. Even if the leaders of the first few groups are innate masters, the overall Kinhu Guard is not that strong. Unless the Guard Chief, Deputy Guard Chief and King Mui of the Kinhu Guard are all land immortals, it can be guaranteed to have a deterrent effect on the martial arts masters of the entire province. Now it seems that I don't know enough about official power. Su Chen nodded. This is what a state machine looks like. Then now, will the White Dragon King still take action against you Xinyu? Su Chen asked. Now, he also wants to get out of it quickly. After all, the things in Yichen are done. If he brings such a beautiful woman back to Bincheng and lets Zhou Wanqiu see it, who knows how he will hate himself. Long Heian said, it should be fine. I heard that the cooperation with Yu Fule seems to have been finalized in the past 2 days. Even if it is the White Dragon King, it can't change the result. Su Chen was a little confused. Since Yu Fule had already taken care of it, why didn't he tell me to let Yu Xinyu go back quickly? Could it be that I was in seclusion practicing, and I was afraid of disturbing myself? Su Chen didn't know. In fact, Yu Fule had already told Yu Xinyu about this. But this time, Yu Xinyu took the initiative to say that she didn't want to leave so soon, and Yu Fule didn't stop her. While the two were talking, Qi Hetao and others had already arrived. Chapter 402 I'm just clinging to someone, so what? On the sea, more than a dozen speedboats and boats were waiting. On them were some tiger catching guards and police symbols. The leaders were naturally Qi Hetao and Li Changqing. Everyone held their breath and waited patiently. Ding-ling-ling. A ringing sound of a mobile phone broke the silence. After receiving Su Chen's call, Qi Hetao and Li Changqing were instantly excited. Just now, when Su Chen and Mr. Long and others were fighting, the sea around Juzan Island was like a tsunami, with a terrifying momentum. Their speedboats and boats had to hide far away temporarily. Seeing that horrible scene, they only felt that it was like a fight between gods. Even if the sea level subsided later, they did not dare to approach. One by one, they could only wait anxiously on the sea in the distance. Especially when Su Chen was interrogating Long Heian. There was no call. Li Changqing and Qi Hetao did not receive any notification from Su Chen. They even thought that Su Chen was the loser in this battle. At this moment, after receiving the call, the two were ecstatic and quickly gathered their people to rush to Juzan Island. Qi Hetao led a group of tiger catching guards from the Rooster group, and Li Changqing led a group of police symbols with live ammunition to the island, and rushed directly into the island. Along the way, they were all Zhuanjin masters and dark force martial artists killed by Su Chen. These people were all masters in the secular world, but now they were like shrimp soldiers and crab generals, falling in a pool of blood. Qi Hetao quickly sent the tiger catching guards to check the corpses and verify their identities. If they found someone who was still breathing, they would control him. The more the tiger catching guards checked, the happier they were, because most of these dark force martial artists and Zhuanjin masters had criminal records. Every time they caught one, it was a credit. Qi Hetao's face was always smiling. Li Changqing was extremely jealous. Old Qi, can you please stop laughing? It makes me uncomfortable. Qi Hetao chuckled. Old Li, you are jealous of me, right? Don't worry, you will definitely have some credit later. Li Changqing rolled his eyes. Everyone knows that Mr. Long belongs to the martial arts faction, so you will definitely have the greatest credit. Qi Hetao laughed. Who knows? After all, when this guy commits a crime, he may not necessarily target martial artists. If things go well, you can solve a lot of unsolved cases. Li Changqing immediately became excited. That's true. Qi Hetao said, hurry up and let your people cooperate with us to clean up these guys. Let's go find Mr. Su. Li Changqing hurriedly made arrangements. After cleaning up these shrimp soldiers and crab generals, the two led people to the island again. Soon, Qi Hetao found the body of Shi Yinghao on the ground. This is Shi Yinghao who practiced the Jinshu mixed body method. This guy is a top level master of physical body training. Qi Hetao said in shock. At this time, another tiger guard shouted, Team Leader Qi, there is another innate strongman here, Luo Pojin, the sword saint of Wazhao. Before Qi Hetao responded, another tiger guard shouted, Team Leader, another Qi master was found here, Yi Zunqi, the feather king of Bizhao. Team Leader, there is another one on our tiger guards wanted list. It's the innate soul master, Chu Yin. Qi Hetao was a little confused. This time, 4 innate masters with terrifying strength were found. In other words, the people who just fought with Su Chen were these 4 people. Facing such an opponent, Su Chen still won the final victory. How terrifying would Su Chen's cultivation be? No. Qi Hetao shook his head fiercely. He was shocked and exclaimed, there should be another person, that is Mr. Long. Mr. Long himself must be a strong man at the peak of the Qi master. Mr. Su should be 1 against 5, and defeated 5 Qi masters in the innate realm. Qi Hetao was shocked. Could Mr. Su have broken through the Qi master? Could it be that he is now a strong man in the god realm? At least, it should be the semi-god realm. Qi Hetao quickly sent his men to clean up these innate strongmen. On the side, Li Changqing saw this scene and his eyes turned red with envy. Old Qi, hurry up. Let's go see Mr. Su and see what Mr. Long has done. Li Changqing kept urging. Qi Hetao knew that this guy must be envious of him. He didn't point it out and quickly finished the work and walked back to the island. Soon, the two of them brought people to Su Chen. Mr. Su, we are here. Qi Hetao and Li Changqing looked at Su Chen with excitement. Su Chen nodded and pointed at Long Heian and said, this is Mr. Long. I will hand him over to you. Qi Hetao was excited. Hey. Good. Thank you, Mr. Su. Then, he looked at Long Heian. Haha. Mr. Long, I have heard of your name for a long time. Today is the first time we meet. I didn't expect it to be like this. I don't know. How does Mr. Long feel? Qi Hetao looked proud. Long Heian glanced at him indifferently and said disdainfully, I admit defeat. It's my bad luck to meet a martial arts genius like Su Chen. But what does this have to do with you, Qi Hetao, and the tiger guards? You look so proud, as if you defeated me. If it weren't for Su Chen, I wouldn't even bother to pay attention to someone of your level who wanted to see me. Qi Hetao's face was full of excitement, but it froze instantly. Long Heian was telling the truth, so this was even more embarrassing. On the side, Li Changqing watched Qi Hetao pretending all the way, and suddenly he was defeated at this time, and he almost couldn't hold back his laughter. Qi Hetao's old face turned red. So, he was shameless. You're right. I rely on Mr. Su. I rely on Mr. Su. So you are a prisoner now. There is no one like Mr. Su around you, so you have to go back with me honestly, accept interrogation and punishment. No matter how powerful you were before, that was in the past. Now, you are a defeated opponent of Mr. Su, and a prisoner of me, Qi Hetao and the Tiger Guards. Qi Hetao was getting more and more addicted. In the end, he was just about to say Lulu to Long Heian with a grimace. Long Heian was confused. This Qi Hetao is the leader of the Tiger Guards. So shameless. You are so self-righteous when you cling to your thighs and eat soft rice. You are really awesome. Long Heian was so angry that he was speechless and simply ignored Qi Hetao. Li Changqing and Su Chen were also stunned when they saw this scene. The Tiger Guards on the side blushed and lowered their heads. It is really not very face-saving to have such a leader. After Qi Hetao threw away his face, he was even more relaxed. He waved his hand and said, "Brothers, handcuff Long Heian and take him back." The members of the Tiger Guard came up quickly and controlled Long Heian. Li Changqing came forward and whispered to Su Chen, "Mr. Su, you have given Qi Hetao so much credit, you should give us some too." Su Chen was stunned. He pointed and said, "That direction is Long Heian's base. You should take your people to search. He has a dungeon with many people imprisoned in it. He should have a lot of credit. There is also Han Dao's hang in it. You can help me bring him out." Li Changqing's face suddenly lit up. "Okay. Wait. I'll bring you someone right away." As he spoke, Li Changqing waved his hand directly. "Brothers, follow me to collect evidence." A group of police symbols hurriedly followed. Qi Hetao also hurriedly said, "Mr. Su, I'll go over there too and help you see if there are any spoils." Old guy Li Changqing doesn't know what's good. Don't seal everything up. Su Chen smiled and said, "Thank you, Team Leader Qi." Qi Hetao smiled and said, "You're welcome. I'm familiar with this job." Then, he led people to follow Li Changqing. Not long after, Li Changqing came back with Han Dao's heng. Chapter 403 is just a big piece of wood. Han Dao's heng appeared in front of Su Chen in ragged clothes. Su Chen almost didn't recognize that this person dressed like a beggar was the head of the Han family, one of the 8 major families in the provincial capital. This guy who used to be chubby and looked blessed has lost more than 10 pounds in a few days. The moment he saw Su Chen, Han Dao's heng's tears came down. "Mr. Su, I knew you would come to save me." Han Dao's heng's eyes were red. During this period, he experienced the darkest moment of his life. Seeing Su Chen again was like seeing a relative. Su Chen smiled and said, "Master Han, are you changing your career to join the beggar gang?" Han Dao's heng's old face flushed. "Don't mention it. Damn it. These bastards don't care about my identity at all. They don't give me food for any reason and beat me from time to time. The place where I sleep is just like a pigsty. The food is also." Han Dao's heng was full of grievances. Su Chen felt a little pain in his balls when he heard it. These experiences are indeed like hell for a pampered fat man. That's right. Han Dao's heng seemed to suddenly remember something and hurriedly said, "Mr. Su, my father has also been arrested." "You?" Su Chen smiled. "I have rescued Mr. Han. He was imprisoned in Kingshan Gate. I rescued him a few days ago. He has returned to the provincial capital." Han Dao's heng was excited. "Thank you, Mr. Su, thank you." As he spoke, Han Dao's heng was about to kneel down and kowtow to Su Chen. Su Chen hurriedly supported him. "No need to be so polite, we are friends." Han Dao's heng's eyes were red. On the way here just now, he had heard Li Changqing briefly introduce what Su Chen did when he came to Yicheng. He also knew that, in order to find them, Su Chen not only destroyed Kingshan Gate, but also uprooted Mr. Long. Thinking of this, Han Dao's heng was even more fortunate. Fortunately, before, he and his father chose to hold Su Chen's thigh, and this decision was really correct. Otherwise, this time, he would definitely die without knowing how he died. Alas. Han Dao's heng sighed. "Thanks to you, Mr. Su. I don't know if Mr. Long is sick. What does he want to do by arresting my father and me?" Su Chen said, I know. Then, Su Chen told Han Daozheng what Mr. Long said. Han Daozheng was shocked. What? White Dragon King? He wants to attack our Han family? Han Daozheng's face showed anxiety. Mr. Su, I will go home directly after leaving the island. Su Chen nodded. Okay. If there is anything you need me to do, just let me know. Han Daozheng immediately showed gratitude. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Su. Soon, Qi Hetao and Li Changqing found a lot of evidence in Mr. Long's base. At the same time, they also found a large amount of stolen goods and detained hostages. The number of these people is more than that of the people detained in Kingshanmen. Li Changqing also showed an excited smile on his face. Through the existing human and material evidence, he has solved many unsolved and major cases in Yicheng. The credit he has done is no less than Qi Hetao's. Some people were left to guard Juzan Island, and Su Chen and others returned with a full load. Back on the shore, Han Daozheng said goodbye directly. Su Chen did not try to keep him, but just told him that, if he encountered difficulties again, he could contact him. After Han Daozheng thanked him again and again, he finally left. Su Chen, on the other hand, took Li Changqing's car back to Yi City. When Su Chen returned to Kyoto Hotel, he saw an unexpected scene. Yu Zhenyu was walking back and forth at the door of Kyoto Hotel, looking worried. Su Chen approached and asked, Miss Zhenyu, what are you doing here? Yu Zhenyu was startled when she heard Su Chen's voice. She turned her head quickly and saw Su Chen, and Yu Zhenyu's face suddenly showed a look of surprise. Ah. Su Chen, you are back alive. Yu Zhenyu ran over directly, hugged Su Chen fiercely, and jumped up and down. Su Chen was confused. After waiting for a long time, Yu Zhenyu calmed down. Su Chen pushed her away without leaving a trace. Yu Zhenyu's pretty face turned red, and she whispered, my right eyelid has been twitching since you left. People say that, if the left eye twitches, it means good luck, and if the right eye twitches, it means disaster. I'm always worried that something will happen to you. Mr. Long is so amazing, and my right eyelid keeps twitching. I thought you would never come back. Su Chen was a little moved. He smiled and said, people's left eye twitching means good luck and right eye twitching means disaster, which usually means themselves. My right eye didn't twitch. Why are you worried? Yu Zhenyu blushed and said, you are my savior. If something happens to you, it's the same as if something happens to me. Don't be ungrateful. Su Chen smiled. My fault. Sorry, Miss Zhenyu. Yu Zhenyu smiled then. Then, she asked, Mr. Su, have you solved all the problems with Mr. Long? Su Chen nodded. Yes. I have cleared all the forces on Juzan Island. Now, the Tiger Guards and the police symbols have taken control of the island. Right. Su Chen suddenly thought of something and said, ask your brother. The cooperation with him should have been settled. You should be safe too. I guess no one will target you anymore. Look, do you want your brother to send someone to pick you up or find a car to go back by yourself? Yu Zhenyu was stunned. She looked flustered and quickly pretended to be at a loss. Is that so? I'll ask my brother later. This is really great. Yu Zhenyu laughed dryly. In fact, Yufei called her last night. He said that the important cooperation had been settled and Yu Zhenyu could return to the provincial capital at any time. It's just that Yu Zhenyu decided not to go back first and wanted to stay with Su Chen for a few more days. Yufei also expressed his support for his sister's decision. He also said that if possible, he would support her to win over Su Chen. But at this moment, when Su Chen mentioned this, Yu Zhenyu couldn't even pretend to be stupid. Let's go. I'll go back to my room to wash up first. Su Chen smiled and said to Yu Zhenyu, oh, okay. Yu Zhenyu said a little absent-mindedly. Su Chen walked in front. Yu Zhenyu followed behind with a frustrated expression on her face. No wonder they say that the left eye twitches for wealth and the right eye twitches for disaster. It turns out that it's my own disaster. Yu Zhenyu looked melancholy. Then, she looked up at Su Chen's back, pouted and spit out 3 words. Big blockhead. If it were another man, he would definitely want to find a chance to spend more time with such a beautiful woman like her. Su Chen, on the other hand, looked for all kinds of opportunities to drive her away, as if he was afraid that she would stick to him. Yu Zhenyu felt very aggrieved. Su Chen washed up and changed into new clothes. Then, he went directly to ask Yu Zhenyu what Yu Fei said. Yu Zhenyu had no choice but to say that Yu Fei had solved the problem and would send a driver to pick her up. Su Chen was delighted. Finally, another task was completed. However, this scene made Yu Zhenyu's teeth itch. For the first time in her life, she felt that she was despised like this. Soon, the driver came downstairs of Kyoto Hotel. Su Chen was very proactive, going up and down, one trip after another, to help Yu Zhenyu carry down all kinds of luggage. Yu Zhenyu watched from the side, not knowing whether to be happy or sad. This is just a big wooden man. Soon, Yu Zhenyu got in the car and waved goodbye to Su Chen. Su Chen, remember to come to me when you come to the provincial capital in the future. Yu Zhenyu said seriously. Okay. Su Chen smiled. However, in Yu Zhenyu's eyes, this expression looked perfunctory. In the end, Yu Zhenyu left. Su Chen also breathed a sigh of relief. He thought about it and prepared to say goodbye to the people in Yicheng and return to Bincheng. But at this time, Gao Zepeng called. Chapter 404 Regret to the Extreme. Su Chen answered the phone. Gao Zepeng's excited voice came. Mr. Su, congratulations. As soon as he opened his mouth, he congratulated. Su Chen smiled and said, congratulations. Gao Zepeng also laughed. It's all thanks to you, Mr. Su. He understood what Su Chen meant. With Long Heian's fall, the Yan family has completely lost hope. And Gao Zepeng will completely become his if he takes over the assets and power of the Yan family. Gao Zepeng asked, Mr. Su, I heard that the person you are looking for has been found. Now, are you going back to Bincheng? Su Chen nodded. Yes. I was just about to tell you about this one by one. This time, Su Chen had to notify a lot of people. Although he had only been in Yicheng for a few days. However, he made a lot of good friends. There are Gao Zepeng, Jiuo Qian, Li Changqing, Gao Tingting, He Jingsun, Liu Heitao, Wan Dan Qiang, etc. Even the parents of those young people. After all, Su Chen had helped them one by one before, and they were all very grateful to Su Chen in their hearts. Gao Zepeng said, Mr. Su, please don't notify everyone one by one. How about this? I'll set up a banquet at Qiansheng Hotel. I'll call all the friends you know, and we'll have a meal together. Su Chen smiled. No need to be so troublesome, right? Gao Zepeng insisted. What's the trouble? You've won a great victory today, so you should celebrate. It's just right. We'll give you a farewell party, so you don't have to say goodbye to everyone one by one. Su Chen thought about it, and thought it would be convenient. Okay. Then I'll trouble Mr. Gao to arrange it. Su Chen smiled. Gao Zepeng said, you're being polite to me, isn't that a slap in my face? The two exchanged pleasantries, and hung up the phone. Soon, Gao Zepeng sent the time and hotel box to Su Chen's mobile phone. Su Chen simply packed up, and set off directly. When he arrived at the box of Qiansheng Hotel, Su Chen was shocked. There were more than 20 people sitting in the whole box. Liu Heitao, Wan Dan Qiang, He Jingsun, Gao Tingting and others all came with their parents. Gao Zepeng, of course, also brought his wife Feng Juan and son Gao Shaoji. Jiuo Qian brought his daughter Jiuo Linga. Li Changqing only brought his wife Wu Yuhong, not his son Li Lian. After all, last time Li Lian was fooled by Yu Jing's and Zhu Letting, and almost caught Su Chen. And Li Changqing has promised Su Chen that he will put Li Lian under house arrest. Qi Hetao came alone. His family is not in Yicheng. Qi Hetao just happened to be in the Yicheng area on his recent mission. In addition to these acquaintances, there is also a man in his 50s with a square face and a resolute look. However, it seems that others seem to respect him. Seeing Su Chen coming, everyone hurried forward to greet Su Chen. Su Chen responded one by one. Li Changqing and his wife Wu Yuhang walked forward with the strange man. Mr. Su, this is Mr. Wu Yangang, the mayor of Yicheng and the elder brother of my wife Wu Yuhang. He also knows your deeds, so he has to come to thank you in person. Li Changqing introduced. Su Chen realized that this person was actually the parent official of Yicheng. Mr. Su, please forgive me for coming here in a hurry. It's mainly because your achievements are like a new life for our Yicheng. If I can't thank you in person, I'll be sorry. Wu Yangang looked sincere and bowed to the bottom. In recent years, although Wu Yangang is the mayor of Yicheng, it is too difficult to do it. Almost all important positions are controlled by people from the Yan family and Mr. Long. In addition, there is a mountain like Kingshan Gate, which is pressing on his head. Even if he sincerely wants to make some changes for Yicheng, it is difficult to move forward. Now, Su Chen has solved the two major problems of Kingshan Gate and Mr. Long. If kneeling is not suitable for his identity, Wu Yangang really wants to kneel down to thank Su Chen. The parents of several young people were shocked when they saw Wu Yanggang's attitude. This is the official of Yicheng. He actually treated Su Chen with such respect. For a while, everyone's understanding of Su Chen went to a high level, especially Gao Tingting's parents, Gao Guangxing and Yanqin. Seeing this scene, the old couple felt regretful again, and Su Chen hurriedly helped Wu Yangang up. He could see that this man was very sincere. You are too polite. I just did something insignificant. Su Chen said politely. The future of Yicheng still needs Mayor Wu to worry a lot. Seeing that Su Chen did not take credit for himself, Wu Yangang sighed in his heart. No wonder Su Chen has such achievements at such a young age. This kind of mentality is not something that ordinary young people can have. Everyone was polite and sat down one by one. Even with Mayor Wu Yangang, Su Chen was undoubtedly the first seat. Everyone drank and talked happily. As they talked, everyone talked about how they met Su Chen. Everyone was excited and relieved. Only Gao Tingting's parents were a little embarrassed. After all, the first time they met Su Chen, the scene was not very good. They just said that Su Chen helped their family solve Yicheng's difficulties. Su Chen did not expose it. Wu Yangang was very surprised when he heard about Su Chen's medical treatment. Mr. Su, my cervical spine has been uncomfortable. When the cervical spine attacks, I even feel dizzy and nauseous. Can you help me take a look? Wu Yangang said. Su Chen smiled. It's normal. You work at your desk for too long, which may cause problems with your cervical spine. I'll adjust it for you. Then, Su Chen pinched Wu Yangang. Snap. There was a sound of bones moving. Wu Yangang was surprised and exclaimed, it's healed. My cervical spine is really healed. Mr. Su, you are amazing. Su Chen smiled. Then, he wrote a prescription for Wu Yangang and asked him to take some medicine regularly. On the side, Liu Heitao's father Liu Jiasheng, Wang Danqiang's father Wang Dexun, He Jingxuan's parents and others also came to Su Chen and asked Su Chen to help them check their illnesses. Most of these people had some major and minor illnesses. Su Chen did not pretend to be pretentious and directly cured everyone. Gao Guangxing and Yanqin sat in their seats, embarrassed to bother Su Chen. Su Chen saw the embarrassment of the two and took the initiative to speak. Uncle Gao, Aunt Yang, although your lumbar muscle strain and varicose veins are not too serious, it is best to treat them simply to prevent them from getting worse. Gao Guangxing and Yanqin quickly took advantage of the situation and came over. After Su Chen treated the two, they felt relieved. Seeing Su Chen, who was so skilled in medicine and knew how to behave, the couple regretted it even more. The symptoms of the people were cured, and they were immediately more excited. One after another, they all came to toast Su Chen. Su Chen saw that everyone was happy, so he simply accepted everyone. Everyone drank very excitedly. After drinking for a while, Li Changqing found Su Chen. He whispered, Mr. Su, we have already interrogated Yan Boy. This guy is very cunning. He didn't personally handle many things. So, it's okay to sentence this guy, but the death penalty is not enough. Su Chen said, do you want him to die? I can help. Li Changqing shook his head quickly. That's not what I meant. I just informed you, Mr. Su, and explained the situation to you. Su Chen nodded. It doesn't matter. If he doesn't die now, he is basically useless. By the way, I asked about the pond at Liu Heitao's grandmother's place for you. Li Changqing said. However, this was mainly handled by Yan Boy's second brother Yan Bo too. It seems that he bought it for a very powerful person. But Yan Boy doesn't know the details. Su Chen nodded. It's okay. The spiritual spring milk in it has been taken away by me. If someone wants to make trouble, there is no chance. Yeah. Li Changqing nodded. After Li Changqing finished chatting, he left. After a while, Qi Hetao came over. Mr. Su, Mr. Long found a lot of good stuff. I'll send it to you later. Qi Hetao laughed. Su Chen bowed. Thank you very much, Team Leader Qi. Qi Hetao waved his hand and said, Mr. Su, what are you talking about? These are all your spoils. The two looked at each other and laughed. At this time, dang, dang, dang. There was a knock on the door. Everyone turned around in confusion and looked outside the door. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 405, Meeting Liu Yaoqi again. Everyone was stunned. Gao Zepin looked at the table full of food and wine and said with a smile, the food has been served. Who is knocking on the door again? Could it be the hotel owner coming to deliver the food? Qi Hetao said with a smile, that's really possible. Your boss Gao is in the limelight now, and Mayor Wu is here. Maybe the owner of Bincheng Hotel is here to curry favor. Gao Zepin stood up and said with a smile, then he must be giving face to Mr. Su. As he spoke, Gao Zepin walked to the door of the box. After opening the door, a middle-aged man with a beard was outside. Gao Zepin frowned slightly. Sun Taikang, why is it you? The middle-aged man outside the door was Gao Zepin's subordinate, named Sun Taikang. In the past, he was the human resources director in Gao Zepin's chemical plant. Now that Gao Zepin has taken over the Yan family's industry, he naturally has to replace the core departments such as finance and personnel with his own people as soon as possible. This Sun Taikang is also diligent. Therefore, Gao Zepin appointed him as the manager of Jingyan Group. It can be said that it was a step to heaven. When Sun Taikang saw Gao Zepin, his face was full of smiles. Mr. Gao, hello, excuse me. Thanks to your appreciation, I'm here today. It just so happens that I'm celebrating with my friends and family. I heard that you are here and are entertaining important guests of our Jingyan Group, so I thought of coming over to toast. Gao Zepin understood then. The fact that he had the help of a master to take down the Yan family Jingyan Group has been spread inside Gao Zepin's company, and Gao Zepin did not deliberately cover up this matter. Therefore, Sun Taikang also wanted to make himself familiar in front of the real big shot. Mr. Gao, I admire your distinguished guest very much, and I hope to have the honor of toasting him a glass of wine. Sun Taikang had a flattering smile on his face. Wait a moment, I'll go in and ask Mr. Su. Gao Zepin left a word and turned to enter the box again. Sun Taikang was excited and expectant. Gao Zepin walked up to Su Chen again and told him the situation. Sun Taikang wants to toast you. Are you interested? Gao Zepin asked. Hearing this, Su Chen frowned. What he disliked most was these fake business occasions, where everyone pretended to be so close. Now, although he was also gathered with Gao Zepin and others, they all had some real feelings. And that Sun Taikang, it sounded like he was just trying to flatter him. Seeing Su Chen frowning, Gao Zepin felt a little uneasy. Su Chen didn't like these vain people at all. Without waiting for Su Chen to speak again, Gao Zepin hurriedly said, Mr. Su, I'll drive him away now. After that, he quickly got up and walked back to the door. Sun Taikang was sticking his head into peek. Then, Gao Zepin came back with a dark face. Mr. Gao, what did your distinguished guest say? Should I toast 1 or 3? Gao Zepin said coldly, what the hell? Get out of here. Sun Taikang was stunned and asked quickly, Mr. Gao, what's wrong? Does the distinguished guest not like the hustle and bustle? Get out. Mr. Su doesn't like these false courtesies, so don't do them in the future. Gao Zepin said. After that, Gao Zepin closed the door directly. Sun Taikang looked helpless. On the side, a silver-haired young man came over and asked, Dad, what's wrong? Didn't the distinguished guest see you? Yeah. Sun Taikang nodded, looking regretful. The silver-haired young man said, what a thing, you are so arrogant. Sun Taikang immediately glared at him fiercely. Sun Hesheng, keep your voice down. President Gao respects that person. I just got promoted. If you let President Gao hear it, he will have to remove me from my position. If he removes me from my position, I will skin you. The rebellious son. The silver-haired young man Sun Hesheng stuck out his tongue. Then, he said, "Oh, I know. Dad, since I didn't see the big shot anyway, I will go back to my own box first. There is a beautiful woman in my box today." Sun Taikang looked disgusted. "Get out. Don't cause trouble for me these days." "Got it." Sun Hesheng turned and left. Then, he walked into a box called Wind, Flowers, Snow, and Moon. Inside the box, there were a bunch of young men and women sitting. In the corner, there was an extremely beautiful woman sitting. If Su Chen was there, he would definitely recognize that it was Liu Yaoqi. Seeing Liu Yaoqi, Sun Hesheng's mouth curled up, and his eyes lit up. On the other side, Su Chen's box. After Gao Zepin rejected Sun Taikang, he returned to his seat. "Mr. Su, I'm sorry. I didn't expect that there would be a subordinate in this hotel." Gao Zepin apologized. Su Chen said lightly, "Recently, many of your former subordinates should have been promoted, right?" Gao Zepin nodded and smiled. "Thanks to you, I was able to take over the Yan family's Jingyan group. In a hurry, I want to control such a large group, and I can only use my old subordinates. Although some people are less capable, they are better, because I know their roots, and can learn and cultivate them slowly." Su Chen nodded. "Ability can be cultivated, but character must be well controlled." "Yeah." Gao Zepin responded. "Don't worry. I have just taken over now, and I will put a series of mechanisms such as auditing in place later." Seeing that Gao Zepin knew what was going on, Su Chen didn't say anything else. After a small episode, everyone continued to toast Su Chen, and Su Chen was still fearless. Alcohol is actually a poison. It's just that it's the lightest kind of poison, but it has almost no effect on Su Chen's body. However, he still easily feels the urge to urinate. After drinking for a while, Su Chen said hello and went out to the toilet. Soon, Su Chen found the public toilet, went to the toilet, and was about to wash his hands in the sink. Suddenly, a woman staggered over and crawled by the sink. Ugh! Hiccup. The woman vomited. Su Chen frowned while washing his hands. How much alcohol did this woman drink? Suddenly, Su Chen was startled. Because he knew this woman, it was Liu Yaoqi. Last time, after following Liu Yaoqi to cure her mother Jiang Lichen, Su Chen took Liu Yaoqi to find trouble with Jiuo Qian. As a result, he just subdued Jiuo Qian when and Linglong and Ling Yuru were kidnapped by Zhu Kengyan. Su Chen separated from Liu Yaoqi and never saw each other again. Unexpectedly, they met again at Qiansheng Hotel. Su Chen looked at Liu Yaoqi, his face changed. Because he saw that Liu Yaoqi was not only drunk, but also drugged. Otherwise, with her cultivation as a dark force martial artist, she would not be so drunk. After thinking about it, Su Chen put a palm on Liu Yaoqi's shoulder. Suddenly, a surge of vitality poured in. Liu Yaoqi was suddenly startled in her confusion. Before she could resist, she felt nauseous and vomited directly. The magical thing was that after she vomited, her mind was instantly clear. Liu Yaoqi turned her head quickly and saw Su Chen's smiling face. "Mr. Su?" Liu Yaoqi was surprised. Su Chen smiled and said, "Why are you so polite? Just call me Su Chen. Why are you here? Why are you vomiting like this?" Liu Yaoqi's face suddenly flushed. She hurriedly said, "Wait for me to wash up first." Then, Liu Yaoqi hurriedly asked the wash basin to rinse, and then washed her face and mouth. After wiping her face and cleaning up, she turned around again. Su Chen, why are you here?" The surprise on Liu Yaoqi's face was beyond words. Su Chen smiled. "A friend invited me to dinner, and I just happened to come over." "Why are you here too, eating with friends?" Liu Yaoqi's face fell, and she said, "It's my mother." She said that, since our family's revenge has been avenged, we mother and daughter will have nothing to worry about in the future. In the future, we have to live a good life. Besides, my mother wants me to find a job, and she wants me to integrate into society, and stop shouting for war, and killing every day. After saying that, Liu Yaoqi curled her lips. Obviously, she didn't agree with Jiang Lichen's statement. In fact, Jiang Lichen's original words were, "A person like Su Chen is not something that ordinary warriors like us can expect." My daughter, you should find a good job, integrate into society, and then slowly find me a good son-in-law. Don't drag yourself into an old maid, unable to get married." Su Chen nodded. When she heard it, he raised his eyebrows and asked, "So, you were drinking with people because you were looking for a job?" "Yeah," Lu Yaoqi replied. Su Chen's face darkened. It was obvious that he had bad intentions towards Lu Yaoqi. Chapter 406 A True Master. Lu Yaoqi was a little embarrassed. However, she nodded in the end. "I know a friend here in Yicheng, and she just found a good job recently. Besides, she also knows the son of the hour manager of that big group, so she recommended me to make a friend. Then I will be her colleague. I didn't want to come, but my mother insisted that I." Lu Yaoqi looked helpless. No matter what kind of parents they are, they seem to have a strong obsession with stable jobs. Su Chen nodded, and he said, "How about this? Take me to your box to have a look. I'll help you check and see what the company is like." Suddenly, Lu Yaoqi's eyes lit up. "Okay, let's go." Su Chen smiled and asked, "Aren't you afraid? If you suddenly take me there, won't the leader's son be unhappy?" Lu Yaoqi pouted and said, "If he is unhappy, then he is unhappy. What does it have to do with me? If he has any objections, then let's go. I don't care about his crappy job." Haha. Su Chen laughed. He gave Lu Yaoqi a thumbs up. "Yes. This attitude is like a martial artist." Then, the two walked towards the wind, flowers, snow, and moon box. This box was the box of Sun Hesheng, the son of Sun Taikang. Su Chen's mouth curled up. He wanted to see what the bastards who drugged Lu Yaoqi were going to do. The door of the room opened. The figures of Lu Yaoqi and Su Chen suddenly appeared in front of everyone in the box. Everyone in the box looked up. As a result, they were stunned when they saw Lu Yaoqi pulling a man back. Su Chen glanced around. He saw that most of the people in the box were young men and women. Among them, the silver-haired young man in the middle was the leader. In the corner behind the young man, there were two silent bodyguards in suits. It seemed that they had just entered the Mingjin cultivation. When everyone at the table saw Su Chen, they immediately looked at Sun Hesheng in the middle. Sun Hesheng looked gloomy and stared at Su Chen. At this time, a woman with a beauty mole on the corner of her mouth quickly stood up to break the embarrassment. She stared at Lu Yaoqi and asked, "Yaoqi, who is this man? Is he your relative?" This woman was Lu Yaoqi's good friend who she met in Yicheng, named Liu Yuling. This time, it was Liu Yuling who helped Lu Yaoqi find a job. She asked Su Chen if he was Lu Yaoqi's relative, in fact, to remind her. However, before Lu Yaoqi could speak, Su Chen took the lead and said, "I'm Yaoqi's boyfriend. She said that there are many big shots here today, and she wants to introduce them to me, so that I can broaden my horizons." When Lu Yaoqi heard Su Chen's words, her pretty face suddenly blushed. Liu Yuling and Sun Hesheng's faces were not very good. Others also showed an expression of watching a good show. Lu Yaoqi had no choice but to introduce everyone. "This is my boyfriend, Su Chen. Su Chen, this is my good friend Liu Yuling. And this is Master Sun Hesheng." Master Sun's father is a human resources manager of Jingyan Group, and he is very powerful. Su Chen was slightly startled. Jingyan Group? Isn't that the group of the Yan family in the past? Now, it should be Gao Zepeng's. The manager of the hour department should be Sun Taikang, who was about to toast. In an instant, Su Chen figured everything out. Su Chen smiled at Sun Hesheng and asked, "Is it true that you all welcome my sudden visit? If so, I'll say goodbye to Yaoqi first." As he spoke, Su Chen grabbed Lu Yaoqi's wrist and turned to leave. "Wait a minute." Silver-haired Sun Hesheng suddenly spoke. Su Chen stood still and looked at Sun Hesheng. "What's wrong?" Sun Hesheng smiled and said, "Since you are here, it must be fate. It just so happens that you are the boyfriend of the beautiful Lu, so we should get to know each other." As soon as these words came out, all the young people at the table laughed. They all knew that Sun Hesheng liked beautiful women, but he liked to steal other men's girlfriends even more. He just liked to see other men helpless. Su Chen had a harmless smile on his face. "Okay, then I'll be disrespectful to refuse." Then, Su Chen asked Lu Yaoqi to go under the table during the banquet. Since Su Chen grabbed Lu Yaoqi's wrist, Her face has been hot, and she lowered her head and didn't speak. Liu Yuling, her best friend on the side, glared at Su Chen fiercely. Sun Hesheng sneered and looked at Su Chen and said, Mr. Su, you are so lucky to have such a beautiful girlfriend like Miss Lu. Su Chen smiled. Not bad. But there are also troubles. Oh. What troubles? Sun Hesheng asked. Su Chen said, it's just that some bastards, relying on a little money and a little power, always want to take advantage of Zhaoqi. If it's up to me, when the Qingming festival comes, these people will have to make an iron hoop to clamp their ancestral graves. Otherwise, they will definitely be scolded to pieces. Are you right, Master Sun? Su Chen looked indignant and then looked at Sun Hesheng. Sun Hesheng was stunned on the spot, not knowing what to say. The other young people and Liu Yuling also changed their expressions and looked at Sun Hesheng nervously. They all knew Sun Hesheng's thoughts very well. Su Chen's words were a slap in the face. Haha. He laughed dryly twice, picked up the wine glass, and took a sip of wine to cover up his embarrassment. On the side, Lu Yaoqi almost couldn't hold back her laughter. Su Chen was cursing in front of him, and Sun Hesheng couldn't say anything back. It was really funny. Mr. Su, why didn't you come with Miss Lu at the beginning, but suddenly appeared? Are you also in Qiansheng Hotel? Are you here to eat? Or to work? Or to deliver to Kiat? You come to our box. It won't delay the delivery of food to the guests, right? Sun Hesheng said with a sneer. Ha ha ha. A group of young people hurried to support him and laughed out loud. Su Chen smiled and said, neither. A friend invited me to dinner. I came to eat for free. Oh. So that's it. Sun Hesheng smiled coldly. Then eat here, so as not to go to someone else's place for a free meal, and they will think you are redundant. This statement was obviously saying that Su Chen was redundant. Su Chen acted as if he didn't understand and smiled. Thank you, Master Sun. You are such a good man. As he spoke, he took out his chopsticks and started to pick up the food. Sun Hesheng's punch was like hitting cotton. This made him feel very uncomfortable. At this time, Liu Yuling snorted coldly and said, Master Sun, you still thought Su Chen would come here to eat? You think too highly of him. There are only a few young people in Yicheng who can book a banquet in such a big box in Qiansheng Hotel. Only you and a few top second generations are qualified. Seeing that Sun Hesheng didn't get the upper hand, Liu Yuling jumped out and stepped on Su Chen to flatter Sun Hesheng. Sun Hesheng's face suddenly looked much better. He smiled and said, I have only recently acquired this ability. Now, my father has been promoted to the manager of the Human Resources Department of Jingyan Group. He is in a high position and his salary has increased several times. Therefore, my pocket money has increased a lot. Everyone immediately flattered him again. Wow. Jingyan Group. It used to belong to the Yan family, the number one family in Yicheng. You are out of date. Let me tell you a little gossip. The Yan family has fallen into decline, and now it belongs to Gao Zepeng's Gao family. Jingyan Group now belongs to the Gao family. Young Master Sun's father is a veteran of Gao Zepeng. In the future young Master Sun's family will also become a big family in Yicheng. Young Master Sun, don't forget to promote us in the future. Liu Yuling said affectionately. Young Master Sun values friendship the most. He said a word, and let me join Jingyan Group. Now my salary is more than 20,000. Everyone flattered him again. Sun Hesheng smiled, but pretended to be humble. This is nothing. You don't know that the reason why General Gao Zepeng was able to take down the Yan family was actually because of a young man. That young man is the real master. The next chapter will be in about 20 minutes. Chapter 407 Bastard, you cheated. Sun Hesheng said the young man behind Gao Zepeng in a mysterious tone. Suddenly, everyone was stunned by this inside information. What? A young man helped President Gao solve the Yan family? Damn. One person can deal with the Yan family, and he is a young man? My god, what kind of monster is this? Although President Gao was also powerful before, he is not as good as the Yan family. A young man can beat the Yan family down. This must be the second generation from Shangjing. It would be great if we could meet such a master. Liu Yuling even held her heart and said, if such a big shot is willing to look at me, I can live 10 years less. Su Chen was confused. He looked at Liu Yuling and thought to himself, I have looked at you 10 times, why don't you die? Liu Yuling noticed Su Chen's gaze and immediately showed disdain. Su Chen, why are you looking at me? I hate people like you who have shifty eyes the most. You have a girlfriend, but you still secretly look at other beautiful girls. Everyone immediately looked at Su Chen with contempt. Su Chen looked puzzled. This woman, she feels too good about herself, right? Liu Yuling glared at him fiercely and said to Lu Yaoqi, Zhaoqi, you pay attention to him. I think Su Chen is not a quiet person. But Lu Yaoqi knew Su Chen's character. Even though she took the initiative to come to him, Su Chen avoided her. How could such a person peek at Liu Yuling? Lu Yaoqi smiled and said, Sister Yuling, Su Chen is not that kind of person. Maybe, he just thinks that your appearance just now is a little exaggerated. Liu Yuling sneered. Exaggerated? What's exaggerated? I'm telling the truth. It's just that we will never have the chance to meet such a big shot in a lifetime. Only Master Sun can meet such a big shot with his father. Sun Heshen was suddenly stunned. He didn't see that big shot. The reason why he knew that the big shot was a young man was because his father Sun Taikang secretly looked inside when he was waiting outside the box. Although he didn't see it clearly, he was basically sure that the big shot was a young man. So, he said that. But at this time, Liu Yuling had said it, and Sun Heshen would not deny it. He laughed and said, that's right. Just now, I went out to accompany my father to Mr. Gao's box to toast. I even clinked glasses with that big shot. Su Chen almost laughed when he heard this. Puchy. For a moment, everyone glared at Su Chen. Liu Yuling was even more disgusted and said, Su Chen, are you sick? Didn't you see that Master Sun was introducing the big shot to us? People like you, who don't even cherish this opportunity to improve their cognition, deserve to live at the bottom all their lives. Su Chen felt very funny in his heart. Opportunity to improve cognition? Yes. What's wrong? Liu Yuling sneered again and again. Su Chen said calmly, how do you know that what he said must be true? A trace of panic flashed across Sun Heshen's face. However, he quickly hid it and instead showed an angry look. Seeing Sun Heshen's expression, Liu Yuling hurriedly said, young Master Sun, don't be angry. Don't argue with such a person. Summer insects cannot talk about ice. Sun Heshen also looked at Su Chen coldly and said, that big shot is now in the top box of Bincheng Hotel. Boss Gao, Li Changqing and even the Mayor Wu Yangang are there with the big shot. I saw all this with my own eyes. I just went there with my dad. Not only did I toast with that big shot, moreover, he also praised me for being smart and asked Boss Gao to train me well. Sun Heshen looked righteous. After these words came out, even he almost believed them. Su Chen also gained some experience. This impassioned and urinating tone. This aggrieved little expression. Perfect interpretation of what it means to lie without blinking an eye. It also proves that the real lies are 9 truths and 1 lie. If I wasn't the big shot they were talking about, I would have really believed this guy. In the box, all the other young people immediately showed envy. Young Master Sun is indeed young Master Sun. He can actually meet such a big shot and chat with him. Young Master Sun, when you become rich in the future, don't forget to take us with you. Young Master Sun, you don't have to bother with Su Chen. Some people are born with poverty that limits their imagination. Maybe some people are just pure jealousy. A group of people flattered Sun Heshen crazily, and Liu Yuling glared at Su Chen fiercely. She looked at Lu Yaoqi and said, Zhaoqi, I think you need to think carefully about your boyfriend. Look at him. Not only is he short-sighted, but he is also narrow-minded. Compared with young Master Sun, he is simply a world apart. At this moment, Liu Yuling no longer concealed and directly sprayed Su Chen. However, Lu Yaoqi smiled coldly. Su Chen had already briefly explained to her what had happened in the past few days, and also what had happened in the box just now. So, the two of them watched Sun Heshen jumping around, as if they were watching a monkey show. Lu Yaoqi glanced at Liu Yuling indifferently. I think it's normal for Su Chen to be suspicious. After all, such big shots generally don't like to be disturbed. If even Mayor Wu Yangang is accompanying, I guess even Master Sun's father would not be qualified to come forward and toast. For a moment, everyone was stunned. This seems to make some sense. Gaopengs has to be respectful, and the mayor has to be the last one to pay respect. Sun Hesheng's father, Sun Taikang, is just the human resources manager of Jingyan Group. He is not a director, not a CEO, not a CFO, not even a general manager. How can he be qualified? Everyone's face changed slightly. However, no one dared to say it. Sun Hesheng looked ugly. He quickly explained, "What do you know? The real big shots are all polite and kind to others." Everyone was skeptical, and they toasted one after another to warm up the atmosphere again. Su Chen and Liu Yaoqi didn't bother to pay attention to others, and they chatted with each other about what happened in the past few days. Sun Hesheng was standing aside, watching the two of them acting, as if they were alone, and suddenly got angry. Ahem. Sun Hesheng suddenly coughed, and everyone shut up quickly. The scene was quiet. Sun Hesheng looked at Liu Yaoqi. "Zhaoqi, don't you want to join Jingyan Group? Don't worry, leave this to me. Come on, drink this glass of wine first." Su Chen smiled coldly. "Here it comes," he said lightly. "Young master Sun, Zhaoqi vomited after drinking just now. If she drinks again, something might happen. How about this? Whoever wants to drink with Zhaoqi, I'll drink for her." Sun Hesheng's face darkened. Liu Yuling immediately started to scold. "You? Who do you think you are? How can someone like you be qualified to drink Mr. Sun's wine? You still want to block the wine for Zhaoqi? Don't you think you are worthy of it?" Su Chen looked at her coldly. "Don't talk so much, or you will regret it later." Liu Yuling was stunned, and immediately said angrily, "You bastard, you dare to threaten me?" At this time, Sun Hesheng suddenly said, "Su Chen, you can drink for Liu Yaoqi. But, I have to explain one thing to you in advance. My wine, if a woman drinks it, and spits it out, I don't feel sorry. But if it's a man, who dares to drink my wine, and vomits after getting drunk, that would be a waste of my things. Then don't blame me for being rude." Su Chen smiled. "Don't worry. I don't have the problem of vomiting after drinking too much." Liu Yuling sneered. "If you vomit later, I'll let you lick it clean." Ha ha ha. A group of young people laughed. Su Chen glanced at Liu Yuling. "I like your current state. Keep it up." Liu Yuling looked puzzled. She didn't understand why someone like Su Chen was so arrogant. On the side, Sun Hesheng waved his hand, and a bunch of good wines were brought to the table. There were red wine, white wine, beer, fruit wine. It's easiest to get drunk when mixed together. Next, the young people sitting there followed Sun Hesheng to toast Liu Yaoqi. Naturally, it was Su Chen who accompanied them to drink on behalf of Liu Yaoqi. One cup after another, round after round. At first, everyone just thought that Su Chen had a good alcohol tolerance. But soon, everyone's face changed. Because, on their side, several people have fallen down. Even those who are a little more sober are a little confused. But Su Chen mixed the wine and drank it, but nothing happened. And Sun Hesheng was also staggering after drinking. He looked at Su Chen with a look of surprise. Because he added drugs to Su Chen's wine. But Su Chen is still fine. "Bastard. You cheated." Sun Hesheng pointed at Su Chen and cursed angrily. Chapter 408 Why are you pretending? Asshole, you cheated. Sun Hesheng shouted, and everyone looked at Su Chen. But Su Chen just smiled coldly. "How did I cheat?" Sun Hesheng stared. "You drank so much, why didn't you get drunk?" Su Chen smiled and said, "I can drink a lot, isn't that okay? Besides, I drank in front of so many people. Tell me, how can I cheat?" Sun Hesheng gritted his teeth, and looked at Su Chen. Even people with a good alcohol tolerance can't not get drunk. Because, he put the same drug in the wine Su Chen drank as Liu Yaoqi. A good alcohol tolerance can only prevent drunkenness, but it can't prevent drugs. Sun Hesheng was furious, and he turned his head to look at his bodyguards in the corner. The two bodyguards nodded secretly. They were also confused. The wine prescribed for Su Chen really had a lot of drugs added. As a result, this buddy became more and more energetic as he drank. And the drug given to Liu Yaoqi before didn't seem to work. They both suspected that the drug was expired. Sun Hesheng looked at his companion who was a little drunk, and then looked at Su Chen who looked energetic, and suddenly he didn't know what to do. At this time, Su Chen smiled coldly. Master Sun, do you want to ask why the drug didn't knock me out? As soon as this was said, Sun Hesheng's face suddenly panicked. What are you talking about? Sun Hesheng said angrily. Su Chen snorted coldly. HMPH. You know what I said in your heart. Before, there were also drugs in the wine that Lu Yaoqi drank, right? You knocked her out. What were you planning to do? You want to knock me out now? Are you planning to get me first and then attack Lu Yaoqi? Sun Hesheng's face changed. Bullshit. You bastard. I kindly let you come to have a meal and let you drink my good wine, but you actually hurt me so maliciously. Su Chen smiled coldly. Whether I wronged you, you will know after a try. As he spoke, Su Chen stretched out his hand. With one arm, he lifted Sun Hesheng over. Su Chen picked up his own bottle, pointed it directly at Sun Hesheng's mouth, and stuffed it in. You come and taste my wine too. As he said this, he lifted the bottle and poured the wine directly into Sun Hesheng's stomach. Sun Hesheng's two bodyguards suddenly changed color. Let our young master go. The two rushed up together. Su Chen shouted coldly, go back and stay. He raised his hand and two wine glasses flew over. Bang, bang. The two bodyguards were knocked to the ground. Su Chen raised his hand again and pulled the bottle out of Sun Hesheng's mouth. In just 2 or 3 seconds, a lot of wine had already entered his stomach. Su Chen let him go casually and said coldly, I told you to drink less, so that you won't quibble, that you fainted, because you drank too much. Sun Hesheng looked at Su Chen in front of him, and felt dizzy and his upper eyelids were extremely heavy. I didn't put drugs, he said stubbornly. Bang. Sun Hesheng fell directly to the ground. For a moment, everyone was stunned. The evidence is as solid as a mountain. No one knew what to say. Only Liu Yuling pointed at Su Chen and said angrily, You are lawless. You actually knocked Master Sun unconscious. What do you mean by you? Su Chen looked at her coldly and curled his lips. It's easy to wake him up. As soon as the voice fell, Su Chen kicked Sun Hesheng in the stomach. Bang. Sun Hesheng flew out like a ball. Boom. He hit the wall hard and slowly stopped. Hiccup. Sun Hesheng looked painful and vomited a large pool of filth. However, he woke up quickly. Sun Hesheng struggled to stand up. Su Chen looked at him coldly. Are you awake? Do you admit that you put the drug in now? Otherwise, I will call the police now and take this bottle of wine for testing. Sun Hesheng's face was extremely ugly and he changed the subject directly. Asshole. How dare you hit me? Just wait. I'll make you pay. Su Chen looked at him coldly and said indifferently, okay. Just wait here and let me see how you make me pay. Seeing Su Chen's arrogant attitude, Sun Hesheng was so angry that he trembled. He took out his mobile phone and made a call. Dad, I was beaten. Please bring someone to our box. Help. Sun Hesheng hung up the phone. He looked at Su Chen with a sneer on his face. Asshole. Just wait. My dad will be here soon. He has recently recruited a master. Just wait to die. On the side, Liu Yuling also cursed. Su Chen, you are a reckless man. You dare to offend even young Master Sun. You are dead. Others also looked gloating. At this time, bang, the door was suddenly kicked open. A middle-aged man with a mustache rushed in anxiously. It was Sun Taikang. Behind him, followed a middle-aged man in a black training suit. It looked like he was the master that Sun Hesheng mentioned. After Sun Taikang entered the room, he went straight to his son Sun Hesheng. Son, are you okay? Where are you injured? Let me see. Sun Taikang looked concerned. Sun Hesheng immediately cried, Dad, look at me. I was beaten by this bastard. He not only beat my bodyguard, but also forced me to drink with the bottle, and finally beat me. Seeing his son's miserable appearance, Sun Taikang was immediately furious. He turned around and stared at Su Chen. You are the one who beat my son? Su Chen nodded. I did it. But he deserved it. He drugged my girlfriend and put a mystery drug in my wine. Such a scum. Don't you beat him up and keep him for the new year? Sun Taikang was stunned. He turned to look at Sun Hesheng. Sun Hesheng's face turned pale and he said quickly, Dad, I didn't. This kid framed me. Sun Taikang looked at Su Chen with a gloomy face. Boy, you want to frame my son? Su Chen smiled coldly, handed over a bottle of wine and said, this is the wine your son gave me. If you don't believe me, find someone to drink a sip. One sip will work. Sun Taikang took the bottle with a gloomy face. He sniffed it and then poured the wine directly on the ground. What mystery drug? Isn't this just normal wine? Sun Taikang sneered. He poured the wine on the ground and there was no evidence. However, Su Chen raised half a bottle of wine again and joked, "Do you think that you have no evidence after you poured it out? Sorry, I took the wrong one just now. The bottle you poured out is indeed fine. The one with the mystery drug is in my hand. Just keep it for reporting to the police and letting the police come to test it." On the side, Lu Yaoqi saw this scene and almost laughed out loud. Su Chen is too bad. Knowing that the other party was going to play tricks, he deliberately did this to mess with their mentality. Sure enough, Sun Taikang's face turned green. "Little bastard, you dare to play tricks on me? Master Song, take this kid down for me." Sun Taikang shouted angrily. "Okay." The middle-aged man in black training clothes responded. Su Chen sneered. "Finally you stopped pretending, and are you going to fight?" Sun Taikang didn't respond, but stepped aside to make room for Master Song. Master Song sneered. "Boy, kneel down and apologize to Mr. Sun quickly, so as to avoid the pain of your hands and flesh. You talk too much nonsense." Su Chen snorted. "Practicing martial arts, you have cultivated all the righteousness in your chest. It's ridiculous to be a dog and still put on airs." Master Song was scolded so much that his face turned black. "Boy, you are looking for death." He pulled out a boxing frame and rushed directly towards Su Chen. 3 Emperor's Cannon Hammer Fist. Sharp wind, straight to Su Chen. Su Chen, on the other hand, stood there motionless, as if he was terrified. Sun Hesheng and Sun Taikang were full of pride. They had seen with their own eyes the power of Master Song's 3 Emperor's Cannon Hammer Fist, which could easily leave a fist mark on the steel plate. The others also looked gloating. When Master Song's fist was about to hit Su Chen's face, Su Chen moved. He punched out. Bang! Master Song didn't react at all and flew out directly. Boom! He hit the table by the wall hard and fainted. "You are a dark force martial artist. Why are you pretending?" Su Chen said disdainfully. This Master Song is probably only a little stronger than Lu Yaoqi. As a result, he talked a lot. Su Chen thought one punch was too much. For a moment, everyone was stunned. Liu Yuling looked at Su Chen with horror. Sun Hesheng and Sun Taikang turned pale and trembled all over. Su Chen took a step forward and said coldly, "Now, do you have any tricks?" Sun Taikang said fiercely, "Boy, you can fight, right? Don't be arrogant. I'm the manager of Jingyan Group, and our boss is Gao Zeping. Now, the Yan family has fallen. Our president Gao is the #1 force in Yicheng. If you dare to touch us, President Gao will never let you go." Su Chen looked at Sun Taikang and his son, raised his eyebrows and said, "Gao Zeping, right? Okay. I'll call him and ask him to come over. Let's see what he says." As he spoke, Su Chen took out his mobile phone. Everyone was stunned for a moment. Chapter 409 Is he the big shot? Seeing Su Chen take out his cell phone, everyone was stunned. Sun Taikang said nervously, "Do you know Mr. Gao?" Su Chen sneered. At this time, Sun Hesheng shouted, "Dad, don't believe this kid. He is just a guy who came to Qiansheng Hotel to eat with others. How could he know Mr. Gao?" Liu Yuling also sneered. "If he knew Mr. Gao, then why would his girlfriend Lu Yaoqi's mother ask me for a job? There are a lot of vacancies in Jingyan Group. If you really want to know Mr. Gao, isn't it just a matter of a word?" Suddenly, Sun Taikang also felt that Su Chen was pretending. "Good boy. You are still talking about Mr. Gao in front of me, Sun Taikang. In the future, I will definitely have a good talk with Mr. Gao," Sun Taikang said angrily. Su Chen sneered. "No need for later. I'll ask him to come over now." As he spoke, Su Chen directly called Gao Zeping. The call was connected. Gao Zeping was very confused. "Mr. Su, what's wrong? We just said that you have been in the toilet for a long time. Why haven't you come back yet?" Su Chen did not explain. He said lightly, "Come to the Finghua Xuayu box." Then, he hung up the phone. The other side of the box, Gao Zeping was confused. Li Changqing asked, "Brother Gao, what's wrong? I saw you answer the phone and you are dumbfounded." Gao Zepeng stood up quickly. Everyone, it's Mr. Su's call. He asked me to go to the Finghuaxuiu box. I guess something may have happened. As he spoke, Gao Zepeng hurriedly stepped out. Li Changqing said, I'll go over and take a look. Mayor Wu Yangang, Jiuo Qian and Qi Hetao also hurriedly followed. Others also wanted to go over, but were persuaded by Feng Juan. After all, these few people are enough. If more people go, it will only cause trouble. Finghuaxuiu box. Su Chen hung up the phone and looked at the son, father and son with an indifferent face. Sun Hesheng said with a mocking face, you don't mean to say that the call just now was made to General Manager Gao, right? You are talking to General Manager Gao with this attitude? And you asked him to come to the box? Who do you think you are? Ha ha ha. It's so funny. All the young people laughed. Sun Taikang didn't believe that anyone dared to talk to Gao Zepeng with such an attitude. Now Gao Zepeng, even if he is the mayor of Yi City, probably has to respectfully call him Mr. Gao. If there is anything, I'm afraid he has to make an appointment in advance. Su Chen said lightly, is it a call to Gao Zepeng? You will know later. TSK. Sun Hesheng sneered, I think you are addicted to acting. If you know General Manager Gao, I know the Mayor Wu Yangang. At this time, a shout came from outside the door, who knows me? The voice fell. The door opened. Wu Yangang walked in. Gao Zepeng, Jiuo Qian, Li Changqing and Qi Hetao also came in with him. For a moment, except for Su Chen and Lu Yaoqi, everyone in the box was stunned. Mayor Wu. Mr. Gao. Sun Taikang's body trembled a little. Others also stared at the few people who came in amazement. Gao Zepeng, Sun Taikang's immediate superior, is now the number one in Yicheng's business world. Wu Yangang, the parent official and mayor of Yicheng, can be said to be the number one in Yicheng's political world. Jiuo Qian, the underground emperor of Yicheng, although his status is not so good, he is the number one in the underground power. Li Changqing, the head of Yicheng's security system. The name of directly is known to everyone in Yicheng. There is only one Qi Hetao, who these people don't know very well. But it seems that except for Wu Yangang, the others are weaker than him. From this point of view, he is also a big boss. For a moment, everyone was stunned. Is this the person Su Chen called? Sun Hesheng and Sun Taikang, father and son, couldn't help shivering. Liu Yuling looked even more incredulous. Sun Hesheng naturally did not dare to answer Wu Yangang's question. Wu Yangang also knew that, since Su Chen asked Gao Zepeng to come, the matter here was probably related to Gao Zepeng. He stepped back and made room. Gao Zepeng's face turned pale, and he walked towards Su Chen. Mr. Su, what's going on? Gao Zepeng asked. Su Chen glanced at Gao Zepeng and ignored him, but looked directly at Sun Taikang. Sun Taikang, didn't you just say that your general manager Gao is now the number one person in Bincheng, and your general manager Gao will definitely not let me go? Now, your general manager Gao is here. Hurry up and complain. I want to see how your general manager Gao will not let me go. Suddenly, Sun Taikang was so scared that his calves cramped. He was pale and speechless. Gao Zepeng's face instantly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. He walked directly to Sun Taikang. Tell me, what's going on? If there is any omission, you will bear the consequences. Sun Taikang's face suddenly turned as bitter as a gourd. But seeing Gao Zepeng in a rage, he could only tell the truth about what happened after he entered the box. Just finished speaking. Bang! Gao Zepeng slapped Sun Taikang in the face. You are so brave, using my name to threaten others outside. Moreover, you even threatened my VIP. Sun Taikang, you are really great. Humph. Gao Zepeng snorted coldly and walked in front of Su Chen. Mr. Su, what do you think of this guy? How should we deal with him? Su Chen said lightly, this is your company's business, you can do it yourself. Gao Zepeng glanced at Sun Taikang and said coldly, Sun Taikang, from today on, you will be dismissed from all your positions in the companies under my name, and will never be hired again. Sun Taikang's face changed. However, Gao Zepeng was not finished yet. He glanced at Sun Hesheng and several bodyguards. Besides, I just promoted you, and you have the money to hire warriors and martial artists as bodyguards. It seems that your income also needs to be investigated. The company will organize a special audit team to audit you, so you can take care of yourself. At this moment, Sun Taikang was instantly confused. Although he had just taken office as the manager at Jingyan Group, he took advantage of the opportunity of Jingyan Group's lack of people to collect benefits and trade power for money. He hurriedly shouted, "Mr. Gao, you can't do this. I'm your old subordinate. I have been working with you since the small chemical factory. How can you treat me like this because of an outsider?" Gao Zeppan gritted his teeth and said, "I gave you the position of our manager at Jingyan Group because I saw that you have been following me. Look how you repay me. Besides, Mr. Su is not an outsider. In my heart, he is 10,000 times more important than any of you." Gao Zeppan shouted. Sun Taikang looked unbelievable. He looked at Gao Zeppan. "Who is he? Humph." Gao Zeppan snorted coldly. "Before, didn't you say that you always respected and admired the VIP who helped me get the Yan family? Didn't you say that you wanted to toast him? And what happened? You sent your bodyguards to attack him." With just one sentence, everyone was stunned. Sun Taikang was shocked. He stood there for a long time, pointing at Su Chen, and said in a daze, He is the big man behind you?" Chapter 410. Another wave of spoils. For a moment, everyone in the box stared at Su Chen, including Sun Hesheng and Liu Yuling. Just now, they were all talking about what they would do if they had the chance to meet that big shot. In the end, no one expected that the big shot was right in front of them. Sun Taikang trembled all over. He suddenly remembered something. Before, when he went to Gao Zeppan's box to toast, Gao Zeppan said that he would go back and ask Mr. Su. Mr. Su. The man in front of him seemed to be Su Chen. Suddenly, a sense of despair surged in his heart, and Su Chen walked to Sun Hesheng indifferently. Sun Hesheng trembled all over and wanted to kneel down. Su Chen asked jokingly, "I heard that you clinked glasses with me in the toast in that box, and I praised you for being smart, right?" Sun Hesheng's face instantly turned red with embarrassment. Sun Hesheng explained quickly, "Mr. Su, I admire you too much, so." Su Chen looked at him coldly. "That's why you put drugs in my wine and sent bodyguards to beat me, right? Then I really can't bear your admiration." Sun Hesheng was desperate. Su Chen ignored him. He walked in front of Liu Yuling. Before, the most jumpy and arrogant person was Liu Yuling. It was she who said that Su Chen was short-sighted. It was she who said that Su Chen was narrow-minded. And it was she who asked Su Chen to lick the spit out clean. So, the most frightened person now is naturally her. Liu Yuling's face was pale, looking at Su Chen who walked up to her. She quickly forced a smile on her face. Mr. Su, I have the best relationship with Liu Yaoqi, and I have a good relationship with Aunt Jiang. Liu Yaoqi said coldly, "We just met not long ago, and our relationship is not that good." Liu Yuling's expression froze. She said quickly, "Xiaoqi, don't say angry words. My attitude just now was a little bad, but I'm also doing this for your own good. Look, I'm still helping you find a job, aren't I?" Su Chen turned his head and looked at Sun Hesheng. "Tell me, what's going on between you and Liu Yuling? If you tell me a lie, I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life." Sun Hesheng shuddered. He said quickly, "Mr. Su, this woman is a bitch. Don't believe her. She first found a way to get to know me, climbed into my bed, and got a position at Jingyan Group. Then, she said she had a friend who was very beautiful. As long as I was willing to help her become a supervisor, she would help me make an appointment and even drug me." Hearing this, Liu Yaoqi's face suddenly changed. "Pa." She slapped Liu Yuling in the face. "I was wondering why you suddenly came to my mother the other day and muttered a bunch of nonsense. You said that women should have their own jobs and that women should integrate into society and the workplace. So, you wanted to harm me at that time." Liu Yuling hurriedly said, "Xiaoqi, don't listen to this bastard's nonsense. He framed me. I never thought about it at all. He did it himself." But Liu Yaoqi ignored her. Su Chen said indifferently, "What's going on? Let the police investigate." As he spoke, Su Chen looked at Li Changqing. Li Changqing raised the phone in his hand. "Mr. Su, don't worry, I have called the nearest police. They will be here soon. No matter who did it, they can't escape." For a moment, Sun Hesheng and Liu Yuling's faces changed. Sun Taikang was also panicked. The police came to the door quickly and took everyone in the house away for investigation. Sun's father and Sun and Liu Yuling, of course, could not escape, and all the relevant evidence was taken away. Suddenly, the box became quiet. Only Su Chen, Lu Yaoqi and Gao Zepeng were left. Gao Zepeng looked guilty. "Mr. Su, I'm really sorry. Su Chen waved his hand and said, "Okay, you should strengthen your supervision. You have just taken over such a big business, so there will definitely be some problems. But I hope this kind of thing will not happen again in the future." Gao Zepeng quickly assured, "Don't worry. I will definitely supervise her strictly in the future." Then, Gao Zepeng looked at Lu Yaoqi and said, "Mr. Su, your friend seems to be looking for a job, right? How about this? I'll let her take a position in Jingyan Group and serve as my secretary. She has her own office, no work assignments, and absolutely free time. If she doesn't want to go to work, she can just not come, and her salary will be paid. This way, I can explain to her mother. Also, if she wants to move to another city in the future, my industry will just expand to the provincial capital, so she can go there directly." Su Chen thought about it and thought it was not bad. He looked at Lu Yaoqi and asked, "What do you think?" Lu Yaoqi was delighted. "Sure. This way my mother won't bother me." She knew in her heart that with Su Chen's favor, she would be very free. "Okay, it's settled then." Gao Zepeng was overjoyed. Just now his subordinates had offended Su Chen, and now he could find a way to make up for it, so Gao Zepeng felt relieved. Su Chen looked at Gao Zepeng and others and said, "Thank you for your help. Go and see our friend off first, and come back to the box later." Then, Gao Zepeng and others returned to the original box. Su Chen accompanied Lu Yaoqi to take the elevator and leave. The two walked out of Bincheng Hotel and took a Didi. While waiting for the car, Lu Yaoqi looked at Su Chen and whispered, "Thank you, Su Chen." Su Chen smiled. "Why are you being polite to me? We are friends." Lu Yaoqi glanced at Su Chen and said nothing more. "Oh, right. I almost forgot to tell you." Su Chen suddenly said, "After today, I may have to go back to Bincheng. Please say goodbye to Aunt Jiang for me." Lu Yaoqi was startled and asked, "Are you leaving?" Su Chen nodded. "Everything here has been resolved. I have to go back quickly. Otherwise, my boss will scold me to death." As he spoke, Su Chen remembered Zhou Wanqiu's angry look. Lu Yaoqi looked unconvinced. "You still have a boss? I don't believe it." Su Chen smiled and didn't explain. Lu Yaoqi didn't say anything. For a while, a sad atmosphere filled the air. At this time, just then, the online car-hailing car arrived. "Su Chen, I'm leaving." Lu Yaoqi looked up at Su Chen. Her eyes were slightly red. Su Chen nodded. "Be careful on the road. Send me a message when you get home." "Yeah." Lu Yaoqi responded and then stepped forward to hug Su Chen. Then, like a dragonfly touching the water, she pecked Su Chen on the face. "Thank you." After leaving a thank you again, Lu Yaoqi got into the car. The online car drove away quickly. Su Chen touched his face, sighed, and turned back to the hotel. After returning to the box, everyone was still talking about what happened in the wind, flowers, snow, and moon box. Seeing Su Chen coming back, he hurried to ask him. Su Chen simply told him. When everyone heard the scene of Sun Hesheng bragging in front of Su Chen, they all laughed. However, the arrogance of Sun Hesheng and Sun Taikang still reminded Gao Zepeng. Wu Yangang suggested, "Brother Gao, I think you'd better let the headhunting company recruit some professional talents for you. After all, the management of a large group cannot be too personal. Besides, if you pull some of your old subordinates down like this, it will be easy to form a faction, which will be more difficult to deal with in the future." Hearing Wu Yangang's reminder, Gao Zepeng immediately understood. Su Chen also glanced at Wu Yangang. As expected, he is the head of the city and knows a lot. Everyone ate and drank for a while, and finally left satisfied. Su Chen said goodbye to everyone, and everyone was reluctant to leave. Gao Tingting pouted, as if no one had made her angry. Gao Guangxing and Yanqian were so nice to Su Chen that Su Chen felt a little uncomfortable. Afterwards, Su Chen returned to his hotel. Soon, Ki Hetao brought over the spoils from Long Heian. The next chapter may be in 20 minutes. Chapter 411, Mytherworld Visualization Technique. Su Chen returned to the hotel. He called An Linglang first. After all, An Linglang had nowhere to go now, and Su Chen promised her that she could follow him. When leaving tomorrow, Su Chen naturally had to tell An Linglang in advance. As for An Linglang's future arrangements, Su Chen was thinking about using the money in his hand to start a company. In this way, he could not only give full play to An Linglang's management skills, but also make full use of his own money. Most importantly, Su Chen felt that when he returned to the mountain village in the future, it would be convenient to take care of the Zhao family with a big company here. Although Zhou Wanqiu's attitude towards him was not very good, Grandpa Zhao and Aunt Zhao took good care of him. The call was quickly connected, and Linglang's tone was full of surprise. "Mr. Su, what do you have to do?" Su Chen said. "Listen, I'm going back to Bincheng tomorrow. Are you still going to leave with me? If you leave with me, pack your things tonight, give me an address, and I'll find you tomorrow. If you have other plans, I can provide you with some funds." However, An Linglang did not hesitate at all. "Of course I have to go with you, Mr. Su. We have agreed before that I will follow you from now on." Hearing An Linglang's words, Su Chen smiled helplessly. "Okay, then I will be at your hotel at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning and call you." "Okay. Thank you Mr. Su for taking me in." An Linglang smiled sweetly. Hang up the phone. Su Chen showed a helpless smile on his face. With the attitude of less trouble is worse than more trouble, he thought that An Linglang would change her mind in the next 2 days. In the end, the other party still insisted on going with him, which made Su Chen helpless and proud. Being trusted by others is still something to be proud of. Su Chen washed up. Then, he heard someone knocking on the door outside. Su Chen casually detected with his mental power and knew it was Ki Hetao. He hurried over to open the door. Ki Hetao came to give him the spoils. The things found in Long Heian must be extraordinary. Su Chen was looking forward to it. Opening the door, Su Chen saw Ki Hetao carrying a large package. "Wow, so many?" Su Chen asked. Ki Hetao smiled bitterly and shook his head. "Mr. Su, although there are good things, there are not so many. Don't set your expectations too high." Su Chen was startled and asked, "What's going on?" Ki Hetao unwrapped the package and said, "The things seem to be more, because there are several spiritual medicines with packaging boxes, so they seem to be more. As for the other miscellaneous things, they are all some exercises, pills, poisons and so on. However, there are many empty spaces in Long Heian's warehouse. It seems that he has transferred the things in the warehouse to somewhere." Su Chen nodded. This Long Heian should belong to a certain organization. The things in his warehouse are probably also offered as tribute, and the Qingshan sect at the time left them all for this sect. Ki Hetao took out all the things and said to Su Chen, "There are not many things, but they are all good things picked from Long Heian's warehouse. There are also some that were found on those Xianshan masters. Mr. Su, please study slowly. I won't waste your time." With that, Ki Hetao was about to leave. Su Chen smiled and said, "Thank you, Team Leader Ki. I have troubled you several times to come and give me the spoils. It's my duty." Ki Hetao smiled. "As long as you keep killing, I will continue to give you." Ki Hetao turned around and was about to leave. Su Chen suddenly said, "Team Leader Ki, wait a moment." Ki Hetao asked, "What's wrong?" Su Chen smiled and said, "Team Leader Ki, do you want to break through the Xianshan?" Ki Hetao was stunned. "No." Su Chen said deliberately, "If you don't want to, forget it." Ki Hetao immediately looked anxious. "Don't. I want to." "Su Chen, Uncle Su, Grandpa Su. Are you serious?" Su Chen smiled. As Xianshan realm, Ki Hetao actually gave him a super generation increase. "Of course it's true." Su Chen smiled. "I saw that among the spiritual medicines you brought this time, there is a phoenix bloodworm flower. This kind of spiritual medicine is perfect for you to break through to the peak of Zuanjin." Ki Hetao was surprised. "Can I really do it? You know, the rooster group is the third from the bottom among the 12 zodiac signs. It can be seen that Ki Hetao's strength and status are almost the same. Now that he has the hope of becoming a congenital strongman, how can he not be excited? Come. Sit down first. Take off your shirt, and then eat this phoenix bloodworm flower. Su Chen arranged step by step, and Ki Hetao cooperated with excitement. Not long after, boom. A violent fluctuation of yuan qi broke out in Su Chen's room. I'm congenital. I'm finally a yuan qi master. Ha ha ha. Ki Hetao's laughter was filled with excitement and excitement. Then, he turned around suddenly and bowed to Su Chen. Thank you, Mr. Su, for helping me break through the Xiantian realm. Ki Hetao suddenly didn't know what to say, nor did he know how to thank Su Chen. Su Chen was richer than him, had a higher martial arts skill than him, and had a higher status than him in the Tiger Guards. Compared with Su Chen, he had nothing to show for it. Su Chen smiled. Okay, no need to be so polite. Ki Hetao scratched his head and laughed. I have to call leading Yuan and Pei Zhenchang later, to tell them the good news. I guess they will be jealous of me. Ha ha ha. Su Chen also laughed. Ki Hetao had just broken through the Xiantian realm, and he was thinking about going to his two colleagues to show off. You still have some residual medicinal power in your body. Remember to practice diligently in the next few days, and try to digest all the medicinal power in your body. Su Chen instructed. Ki Hetao nodded seriously. Don't worry. I will definitely absorb it seriously. Then, Ki Hetao left with a smile on his face. Su Chen was also quite satisfied. Ki Hetao had been running around for him and cleaning up the messes these times, which was quite tiring. Moreover, he never forgot to collect Su Chen's trophies and send them to him. Because of this, Su Chen was generous and used a spiritual medicine on him. Su Chen took out the trophies from Long Heian and counted them. However, he was a little disappointed. The spiritual medicines here were not as many as those from King Shenman. Apart from the phoenix blood cordyceps used for Ki Hetao, there were only 6 left. This is a loss. I used more than a dozen to fight on Giant Forest Island and practice. Su Chen shook his head and sighed. However, thinking that all those spiritual medicines were used by him to improve his strength, Su Chen felt a little comforted. Then, Su Chen saw several anonymous bank cards. Behind each card, there was a handwritten amount and password. It was probably Ki Hetao who helped him interrogate them. The minimum was hundreds of millions, and the maximum was billions. However, money was the thing that Su Chen was least interested in. After throwing it aside, Su Chen continued to look at other things. Then, he saw a pile of pills. Su Chen's face lit up. This time, the harvest of pills was not small. In terms of mental power, there was a bottle of Kingling pill and a Ninghan pill. In addition, there were a bunch of Kyangu pills, Buki pills, Xiaohuan pills, 9-grade Jinchang medicine, etc. There was no shortage of mental and physical aspects. There were also internal and external medicines. Not bad, not bad. It saves me from refining it myself. Su Chen was very satisfied. Then, he looked at the last pile of secret books. There were books of different sizes, new, old, and thread-bound, which looked like a used bookstore. Su Chen flipped through them casually. However, most of them were practiced by masters of Zhou Wanqiu. Su Chen didn't think much of them. Suddenly, his eyes focused on a thread-bound book. There were 5 big words written on it, The Art of Visualizing the Netherworld. Su Chen was overjoyed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 412 The Zhou family takes action. The Netherworld visualization technique. Su Chen was delighted when he saw this technique. Because this technique is a good technique for cultivating mental power and concentrating the Yin God. Before, when Su Chen cultivated mental power, he used the concentration technique. But after Su Chen's mental power cultivation crossed the spirit seed stage and the divine eye stage, the concentration technique did not have much effect on the cultivation of the Yin God. But this Netherworld visualization technique can be used to condense the Yin God. It can be said that it is the technique that Su Chen needs most. This is not the technique of the fat old Manchu Yin, it should be the technique of the Taoist Yushan. With this technique alone, my gains this time are not small. Su Chen was secretly happy. Then, he began to look through this technique. After reading it all, Su Chen started to practice directly. According to the introduction in the secret book, Su Chen first transferred the yin god from the Niwen palace, and then the mental power gushed out and attached to it, just like copying a copybook, constantly concentrating the shape of the yin god. Su Chen kept visualizing his yin chen, and his concentration power also merged with the yin chen in a strange rhythm. The yin chen continued to solidify in this practice. Su Chen spent a night in practice. The next morning, after a short rest, Su Chen got up directly. Although he practiced for a night, his mental state was very good. Although refining the yin chen consumes a lot of energy, it is a great exercise for the yin chen and spirit. After washing up, Su Chen packed all his things. Looking at the big package in front of him, Su Chen felt a little annoyed. When he came to Bincheng, he didn't bring much stuff at all. As a result, when he left, he had a lot of big and small bags in his hands. After all, there were too many trophies. He counted the things on his body. There were nearly 10 spiritual medicines alone. In addition, there were various finished pills, talisman paper and secret manuals of exercises. I don't know where to put these things after I go back. Su Chen sighed secretly. In his and Zhou Wanqiu's bedroom, only the small space in the corner belonged to him. Now that there are suddenly more of these things, it's really hard to deal with them. It is estimated that, even if he explains the value of these things to Zhou Wanqiu, she will only sneer. Su Chen shook his head and smiled. Then, he took out his mobile phone and called on Linglang. "Hello, Mr. Su." And Linglang's sweet voice sounded. Su Chen said, "Misun, have you packed your things? Now, I will go to find you." And Linglang smiled and said, "Mr. Su, please come. Te Hotel, 306. Okay." Su Chen responded and hung up the phone. On the other side, and Linglang hung up the phone, and a smile of expectation appeared on her face. "From today on, I will start another life." On the side, Ling Yuru poured cold water and said, "I say, Miss Linglang, can you stop being crazy so early in the morning? Who is crazy?" And Linglang rolled his eyes at Ling Yuru. Ling Yuru curled her lips and said, "I don't know who it is," but when she saw Su Chen calling, she immediately smiled. Before she left with him, she looked like she was looking forward to a happy life in the future. "She looks like a woman who is eager to get married." And Linglang blushed and said, "Ah, Sister Ru, you are so annoying. You are the one who is eager to get married." TSK. Ling Yuru snorted disdainfully, "I don't hate to get married. Besides, I would rather not marry Su Chen, even if I hate to get married. There is no good man, not even that Su Chen." And Linglang smiled. "I don't know who it is, but when she was rescued, after being drugged that day, she wanted to marry Su Chen." Ling Yuru blushed. "I was drugged, and my mind was not clear." Both of them were a little embarrassed. At this time, Ling Yuru quickly found a topic and said, "By the way, Linglang, although we are going to Bincheng with Su Chen, have you thought about what the future will be like?" And Linglang pondered for a moment and said, "Let's see what Su Chen arranges. I think he wants to start a company and let me manage it." Ling Yuru raised her eyebrows and said, "What about the Zhou family? You know, we sent Zhu Qingyuan to Qinhui, and I guess the Zhou family will not let it go. Who cares?" And Linglang smiled. "Anyway, Mr. Su will help us deal with it." Ling Yuru looked disgusted. "Why are you so heartless now? You don't even think about it in advance. What should we do if the Zhou family makes trouble for us?" "It's okay." And Linglang smiled. "You see, since Su Chen came to Bincheng, he also dealt with the Yan family and Mr. Long, and did not leave any trouble for the people here, so he chose to leave. Su Chen is a responsible person. Since we have decided to follow him, he will naturally help us solve our worries. Besides, the Zhou family is one of the 8 major families in the provincial capital. If they want to deal with us, what can we two do? So, let's just lie down." Ling Yuru paused. "Yes. Facing the Zhou family, one of the 8 major families in the provincial capital, she and Linglang, who are weak, are indeed not good enough, and can only rely on Su Chen." However, Ling Yuru still glared at Linglang angrily, and said with disdain, "I see. You are just clinging to Su Chen's thighs now, and you are too lazy to use your brain. And Ling Lang smiled. Yes. Before, we fled to the Zhou family. Although we were protected by Zhou Chen, i.e., the second master of Zhou, we were outsiders after all. Living under someone else's roof, not to mention being restricted everywhere. Even if you make the greatest contribution, you still have to be remembered by people like Zhou Wanqiu and the Zhou family. At that time, if you don't use your brain diligently, you will really be eaten by others without leaving even a bone. But now that Su Chen is helping us, I can naturally feel more relaxed. The disdain on Ling Yuru's face suddenly turned into heartache. Over the years, and Ling Lang has indeed suffered a lot of grievances. Moreover, I racked my brains to dodge and maneuver just to protect myself. It can be said that I lived cautiously. Now, it is much easier. Ling Lang, you have been wronged over the years. Although I don't think much of Su Chen, but he is indeed much better than those bastards in the Zhou family, Ling Yuru said. And Ling Lang smiled. It's okay, Sister Ru. It's all in the past. I have paid tribute to the Zhou family in Yaowang Valley all these years, and have done them justice. From now on, the Zhou family will have nothing to do with us. Ling Yuru nodded. Yes. At this moment, a cold shout came from outside the door. You two bitches, you are so brave. Not only did you betray my Zhou family, you also tried to sever your relationship with my Zhou family. Bang. A loud noise. The door exploded directly, and Ling Lang and Ling Yuru were shocked. They looked outside the door together. Then, they saw a middle-aged man with a pockmarked face stepping in. Behind him, there was a majestic old man with white hair. Zhou Xian's Heo. Jiang Huaishan. What do you want to do? Ling Yuru's face changed, and she hurriedly stepped forward to block Ling Lang. She looked at the two people in front of her with a cautious face. Zhou Xian's Heo was from the Zhou family in the provincial capital. He was close to the eldest uncle of the Zhou family, Zhou Xian's Hong, the father of Zhou Wanqiu. The majestic old man next to him was the Zhou family's worshipper, Jiang Huaishan. His martial arts skills were unfathomable. At least, he was also a congenital strongman. Zhou Xian's Heo glared at the two of them coldly. How dare you two bitches devour your master? You are so brave to send King Yuan to the Kinhu guards. And Ling Lang said angrily, the Zhou family has never been our master, and we are not slaves of the Zhou family. Sister Ru and I have taken refuge with the second master Zhou Xian ie, and I have made a profit from running Yaowang Valley, and I'm worthy of the Zhou family. How can there be a master-servant relationship? Then Zhou Wanqiu kidnapped me by force. That was his own fault. Zhou Xian's Heo smiled coldly. What a sharp-tongued woman. Mr. Jiang, do it. Chapter 413 He is not a god. Mr. Jiang, do it. Zhou Xian's Heo said politely with a bow. Although he was a direct descendant of the Zhou family, however, he still had to show enough respect to Jiang Huaishan, a master. Top-level military force is the guarantee of a family's wealth. In their eyes, people like Ling Lang, who can create wealth for the family, are just tools to make money, and are not worthy of respect. If she is prettier, she is at most of ours, that can make money. Usually, she can be used to make money. When she is bored, she can also be used to play with her. And Zhou Wanqiu obviously thought so. But he didn't expect that this vase was a bit hot, and he was thrown into the prison of the Tiger Guard. Hearing Zhou Xian's Heo's invitation, Jiang Huaishan took a step forward. Suddenly, a strong aura locked onto Ling Yuru and Ling Lang. Ling Yuru stood in front of Ling Lang, trembling all over. The old man in front of him was so scary. He didn't do anything, but he was already oppressed, and felt uncomfortable all over. This man is definitely a top-level master among the Yuan key masters. In an instant, Ling Yuru knew that she was no match for him. Ling Lang, hurry up. Find Su Chen. Ling Yuru shouted, and then rushed forward, and Ling Lang showed a trace of hesitation in her eyes. However, she turned decisively in an instant, and she turned her head, and ran towards the window. However, Jiang Huaishan just snorted coldly. HMPH, you still want to run in front of me? Ling Yuru's whole body of Zhuanjin condensed into a punch. She completely ignored her own defense, and wanted to delay Jiang Huaishan. However, Jiang Huaishan just stretched out a hand gently. Ling Yuru's fist was caught in his hand. Full. Jiang Huaishan pulled violently. Ling Yuru felt a huge force pulling, and the whole person fell to the ground uncontrollably. Bang! Ling Yuru's eyes went dark, and she fainted directly. At this time, and Linglong had just rushed to the window. Jiang Huaishan flashed, and one hand pressed on Linglong's shoulder, and Linglong's face changed drastically. You. Before she could make any move, Jiang Huaishan vomited his vitality, and Linglong fainted directly. On the side, Zhu Xian's Heo was overjoyed. He rushed forward and said excitedly, "Old Jiang, you are indeed a strong man close to the semi-god realm. These two women, one dark force martial artist, and one mysterious force master, you took them down so easily. I admire you so much." Jiang Huaishan looked at him coldly and said, "I'm a peak innate, dealing with two women who are not innate. What is there to brag about? Take them both with you, and hurry back to the provincial capital to report." After saying that, Jiang Huaishan turned around and went out. Facing Jiang Huaishan's cold face, Zhu Xian's Heo smiled awkwardly. In front of the peak innate worshipper, except for the eldest and second masters of the Zhu family who have the right of inheritance, everyone else has to be honest. Zhu Xian's Heo also has some cultivation, although it is not high, but he can also lift two women. He picked up Linglong and Ling Yuru in one hand and chased after Jiang Huaishan. The two walked downstairs, where a black business car was waiting. Sitting in the passenger seat of the car was an old man who looked 8 points like Jiang Huaishan. This man was Jiang Huaishan's younger brother, Jiang Huaishu. The two brothers were both worshippers of the Zhu family in the provincial capital. Jiang Huaishu was also at the peak of innateness, close to a demigod. "Done?" Jiang Huaishu asked. Jiang Huaishan still had a stern expression. "Just two women, what's the trouble?" As he spoke, he got into the car directly. Jiang Huaishu was very familiar with his brother's personality, so he naturally didn't care. Zhu Xian's Heo smiled at Jiang Huaishu ingratiatingly, and then put Linglong and Ling Yuru in the trunk. Jiang Huaishu said, "Let's go. Hurry back and report. I heard that Su Chen is not simple. If we meet him, there might be a fierce battle, and things will be troublesome." Jiang Huaishan snorted coldly, "What are you afraid of? I don't believe that Su Chen is really that powerful." Jiang Huaishu shook his head. "Brother, don't underestimate him. Now, all the people in the Jinggan group of the Yan family in Yicheng have been replaced by Gao Zepeng's people. Moreover, Long Heian seems to have disappeared, and many police symbols and tiger catching guards have gone to Kaiangxing Island. I guess Long Heian has been in trouble." Hearing this, Jiang Huaishan's face showed a trace of solemnity. "What are you afraid of? At worst, we can just fight. We are both peak Yuan Qi masters, and we have entered the semi-god realm. Are we afraid of a young boy like him?" Jiang Huaishan said stubbornly. Jiang Huaishu smiled. "Brother, Long Heian has a master who is not much weaker than the two of us." Without waiting for Jiang Huaishan to retort, Jiang Huaishu directly said to Zhu Xian's Heo, "Drive." "Hey. Okay." Zhu Xian's Heo became closer to Jiang Huaishu. After all, this guy's temper is much better than his brother's. The black business car started instantly. On the other side, Su Chen packed all his things and put them in a big leather bag. Then, he carried them downstairs to Te Hotel. Soon, Su Chen arrived downstairs at Te Hotel. He took out his mobile phone and called Linglong. As a result, he found that no one answered. He called Ling Yuru again, but no one answered. What's going on? Su Chen simply went upstairs. When he walked to the door of room 306, Su Chen's face changed. Because the door of the room was open. This is someone broke into. Su Chen judged at a glance. His face changed, and he rushed into the room. Suddenly, everything in the room came into view. Such a strong vitality, a congenital strongman has been here. Su Chen judged it at a glance. Su Chen looked at the kettle on the table. The temperature was still quite high. He should have just left. Su Chen's face lit up. Then, he directly released his Yinshen. Swish. The Yinshen flew out at a very fast speed, sweeping towards the cars on the roads. Found it. Soon, Su Chen captured the same vitality fluctuations as in the hotel room. Su Chen's Yinshen instantly locked onto the black business car. The next second, in the hotel room, Su Chen's figure disappeared in the blink of an eye. In the black business car, Jiang Huarishan still looked disdainful. Second brother, I said you are too cautious. That Su Chen is just a master of vitality. The two of us are already at the peak of vitality. He is at most the same as us. If the two of us join forces, even if we are not at the semi-god level, we are almost there. Why are you afraid of him? Jiang Huarishu was too lazy to argue with his brother. He smiled and said, brother, I'm just afraid of trouble. Jiang Huarishan curled his lips. Don't worry. We have completed the task now. Even if we can meet Su Chen, we will probably have to go to the provincial capital. Besides, he may not dare to go to the provincial capital to find us. At this moment, Jiang Huarishu's face suddenly changed. He said with an ugly face, brother, he is here. Who? Jiang Huarishan asked doubtfully. Jiang Huarishu looked out the window and looked at Su Chen's Yin from a distance. Su Chen. Jiang Huarishu uttered two words. Compared with his brother Jiang Huarishu's cultivation focuses more on mental power. In fact, he has already condensed a simple Yin. At this moment, seeing Su Chen's Yin, Jiang Huarishu was a little confused. Jiang Huarishan didn't believe it at all. He smiled coldly. How is it possible? He is not a god. However, Jiang Huarishan had just finished speaking. Bang! A loud noise suddenly exploded. A young figure fell from the sky and suddenly appeared in front of the business car. It was Su Chen. The next chapter will take about 20 to 30 minutes. Chapter 414. I don't mind going to your zoo family. Squeak. The black business car suddenly stopped. Looking at the figure in front of them, the three people in the car had different expressions. Zhu Xian's Heo said angrily, Mr. Jiang, how about I hit him to death? Jiang Huarishu said coldly, if you want to die, you can try. Suddenly, Zhu Xian's Heo didn't dare to speak again. In the back row, Jiang Huarishan sneered, is this person Su Chen? Zhu Xian's Heo, drive the car to a more remote place, I want to have a fight with this guy. Zhu Xian's Heo responded, okay. He quickly reversed the car and turned into a small alley. Su Chen was not in a hurry and slowly followed the car. Soon, the black business car stopped. The three people got out of the car directly and faced Su Chen from a distance. Zhu Xian's Heo took the lead and walked forward and cursed, stinky boy, are you Su Chen? I haven't bothered you yet, but you are eager to come up and die. Su Chen raised his hand. A stream of energy burst out. Bang! Zhu Xian's Heo never expected that Su Chen would attack without even saying a harsh word. He didn't have time to dodge and flew backwards. Puff! Zhu Xian's Heo spurted out a mouthful of blood and fell heavily to the ground. He looked at Jiang Huarishan and Jiang Huarishu with a wronged look. These two people didn't even try to stop him. Zhu Xian's Heo had no idea that these two people also wanted to see Su Chen's strength. Zhu Xian's Heo struggled to stand up and cursed, asshole, how dare you hit me? I'm a member of the Zhu family in the provincial capital. Su Chen said indifferently, humph. Zhu family, are you so great? I've already sent one of them to the Qinhui prison. What's the big deal if I hit you? You. Zhu Xian's Heo was speechless. Su Chen looked at Jiang Huarishan and Jiang Huarishu, release and Linglang and Lingyuru. Jiang Huarishan smiled coldly, it depends on whether you have the ability. As soon as the voice fell, Jiang Huarishan rushed up directly. Mountain paving palm. In an instant, the boiling energy condensed in Jiang Huarishan's palm, condensing into the shape of mountain. Then, it hit Su Chen fiercely. The terrifying pressure made the dust fly around. Su Chen smiled coldly. Golden evil palm. Su Chen raised his hand, and the dark golden palm went straight over. Boom. The two palms hit each other. The terrifying energy collided, and Jiang Huarishan's mountain paving palm exploded instantly, and Su Chen's body shook slightly. Jiang Huarishan's face changed. Good boy, you really have something. After a simple touch with Su Chen, he already felt that Su Chen's energy cultivation was not weaker than his. Moreover, it seemed to be slightly above him. Because he had used all his strength just now, but Su Chen seemed to have some strength left. What a powerful young man. Jiang Huarishan sighed in his heart. Su Chen said lightly, now, can you hand over an Linglang and Lingyuru? Jiang Huarishan looked at Jiang Huarishu and gave him a look. Jiang Huarishu immediately understood Su Chen's strength. However, Jiang Huarishu shook his head. I'm sorry. This time, the order given to us by the head of the Zhou family is to bring them back. So, even if it's 2-1, we have to complete the task. The meaning of this is very clear. If you want to save these 2 women, you can only defeat the 2 brothers. Su Chen smiled faintly. Just 2 people. You are worthy of me. After all, Long Heian prepared 5 people at that time. Jiang Huarishan was immediately furious when he heard this. What an arrogant boy. Do you think you can defeat me if you can fight me? My second brother said this not because he is afraid of you, but to let you retreat when you know the difficulty. Don't know what's good for you. Second brother, do it. As soon as the voice fell, Jiang Huarishan rushed up directly. The earth yellow vitality all over his body boiled up and pressed directly towards Su Chen. And Jiang Huarishu did not show any mercy. He dodged and rushed up and punched Su Chen. Su Chen was not afraid at all and faced the 2 people. He first hit Jiang Huarishan with a palm, shattering his Yuan Qi mountain. Then, he punched Jiang Huarishu again. Bang! Su Chen retreated as soon as he touched Jiang Huarishu. However, Su Chen frowned. It was because this time, when he fought with Jiang Huarishu, he felt a needle-like pain in his Niwen palace. Before he could figure out what was going on, the 2 Jiang brothers attacked again. Bang! 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 The 3 of them fought, and the key was violently fluctuating. All kinds of things around were overturned, and there were many cracks on the ground. Zhu Xian's Hao had already hid behind the car in fear. Su Chen was very confused. Jiang Huarishan was nothing. At most he had a strong Yuan Qi. But Jiang Huarishu was not simple. Every time Su Chen fought with him, he would feel a sharp pain in his Niwen palace and his mind. What's going on? Suddenly, a flash of inspiration came to Su Chen's mind. The next second, his yin spirit left his body. Soon, Su Chen discovered that there was a trace of yin shen power on the surface of Jiang Huarishu's body. I understand. This old guy condensed the yin shen to the surface of his body, so that every attack would bring a mental attack. If it were a master with weaker mental power, he might have been injured directly. On the opposite side, Jiang Huarishu was also shocked. His own burning soul fist had made many peak Xianshan realm masters miserable. However, after fighting with Su Chen dozens of times just now, Su Chen did not look mentally injured at all. Even Jiang Huarishan, who was standing aside, looked at Jiang Huarishu in confusion. What's going on? Jiang Huarishan asked. Jiang Huarishu said, his mental power is too strong, and the yin shen seems to be more condensed than mine. Then what should we do next? Jiang Huarishan asked. Jiang Huarishu's face was ugly. Drag it for a while and see if he can be injured slowly. At this time, Su Chen suddenly said, I have seen through your trick. Haha. I don't believe it. Jiang Huarishu sneered and came up with Jiang Huarishan again. Mountain shaking palm. Mountain shaking sea. Soul burning fist. Each of them used their own special skills. But Su Chen just smiled coldly. I'm not playing with you seriously. Do you really think I'm the same as you? As soon as the voice fell, Su Chen rushed directly to Jiang Huarishan. With one punch, 7 kinds of power gathered and entangled, rushing towards Jiang Huarishan. It was a 7-injury fist. Boom. Jiang Huarishan suddenly retreated several meters. Suddenly, his face changed, and he covered his chest. Puff. Jiang Huarishan spit out a mouthful of blood. His internal organs were already injured. At this time, Jiang Huarishu flashed and attacked Su Chen, who had just repelled Jiang Huarishan. Su Chen's vitality condensed all over his body, showing a golden color. The undefeated golden body was activated. Boom. Jiang Huarishu punched Su Chen on the shoulder. The undefeated golden body withstood the vitality attack. Jiang Huarishu sneered. The invincible golden body can't stop my soul burning fist. Su Chen raised his eyebrows. It's because your yin shen is attached to it, so it will attack the Niwen palace and mental power, right? Jiang Huarishu's face changed drastically. Su Chen hit out with a palm. The yin shen attached to his body, and the spear of spirit turned into a palm and hit out. Jiang Huarishu took the palm hard. Bang. Ah. He screamed in pain, and stepped back with a face full of pain. Jiang Huarishu looked at Su Chen in horror. You. He never thought that Su Chen would see through his method so quickly, and he could also imitate him. Su Chen said coldly, good design. It can let me use the Bincheng to fight during the day. Are you going to stop me again? If you stop me again, someone will die. Zhang Huaishu's face was ugly. He turned to look at Zhang Huaishan, but saw that Zhang Huaishan also had a painful face. He was hit by the 7 wounds fist, and his internal organs were already injured. Zhang Huaishu sighed and said, we admit defeat. You take them away. At this time, Zhu Xian's Hao stepped forward and hurriedly said, Mr. Jiang, this is the order of the head of the Zhu family. He can't take Linglong and the other 2 away. Pa. Zhang Huaishu slapped him. Zhu Xian's Hao was knocked to the ground. If you want to stop them, go and stop them yourself. We brothers don't want to die yet. Zhu Xian's Hao covered his face and didn't dare to speak immediately. Su Chen looked at him coldly and walked to the front of the black business car. Swish. Su Chen stretched out a claw and stabbed his 5 fingers directly into the trunk of the car. Pull it hard. The entire trunk door of the car was directly torn open. On the side, Zhu Xian's Hao looked very distressed. This is his new car. And Su Chen directly carried out the 2 women. Seeing that the 2 were just fainted and there was no problem, Su Chen was relieved. He looked at the 3 people coldly and said, go back and tell your head of the family not to mess with me again. Otherwise, I don't mind going to your Zhu family in the provincial capital. Zhu Xian's Hao didn't dare to speak. Zhang Huaishan and Zhang Huaishu also lowered their heads and got into the car. Soon the 3 of them left. Su Chen casually tapped the 2 women on the head. I'm not sure if I will continue writing later. Let's go to bed first. Don't wait. Thank you for your support. Chapter 415. Do you have any friends? And Linglong and Ling Yuru woke up quickly. They were confused for a while. When they first woke up, they almost screamed. However, when they saw Su Chen in front of them, they completely relaxed. Mr. Su, you saved us again. And Linglong was surprised. Su Chen smiled and nodded. I went to the bottom of your hotel, but no one answered your phone. After going upstairs, I found that you were kidnapped by the Zhu family. Ling Yuru said angrily. What about the 2 bastards Zhu Xian's Hao and Zhang Huaishan? Gone. Su Chen said. There are 3 of them, and there is another one who is a brother of Zhang Huaishan, and is also a congenital strongman. Zhang Huaishu. And Linglong exclaimed. Then, she smiled bitterly and said, this Zhu family really thinks highly of us. Su Chen said, I wanted to kill those 2 people, but they were just following orders. Besides, I was worried that they would be desperate and attack you. So, I'll let them go. And Linglong smiled immediately. Thank you, Mr. Su. Ling Yuru muttered, then you should at least wake us up and let me beat up Zhu Xian's Hao before letting them go. Sister Ru. And Linglong pulled Ling Yuru. Ling Yuru had to say reluctantly, thank you for saving us again. Su Chen glanced at Ling Yuru and said, I found out. Why are you still reluctant after I saved you? Ling Yuru said, anyway, you have saved me once. If I save you one more time, I will owe you one more life. Too many lice will not bite. Looking at Ling Yuru, who was like a rolling knife, Su Chen also smiled helplessly. I don't want to be hypocritical with you. Let's pack up our things and get ready to go. Su Chen said. Immediately, the 3 of them returned to Tay Hotel again. The damage to the room and the door would naturally be paid for by Linglong. Ling Yuru even grumbled, I told you, you shouldn't have been so anxious to let them go. Now, we have to pay for the damage they caused. What a pity. Su Chen smiled and didn't bother to pay attention to Ling Yuru. The 3 of them packed up their things and went downstairs directly. And Linglong had a car, and Ling Yuru was the driver. The 3 of them got in the car. Soon, the car drove to the highway exit. Stop the car. Su Chen suddenly said. What's wrong? Ling Yuru asked. Su Chen smiled and said, a friend came to see you off. Ling Yuru pouted, you've only been here for a few days, how many friends can you have? And they came to see you off. However, she still stopped the car obediently. Su Chen got out of the car, and a group of people came to greet him. It was Gao Zeping, Wu Yangang, Jiuo Kan and others. Basically, the people who had dinner yesterday came again. In the car, Ling Yuru looked at everyone and was stunned. Linglong, look, that's Gao Zeping, the current business giant in Yicheng. And that one, it's actually Li Changqing from Yicheng security system. Look at that one, isn't it Wu Yangang, the mayor of Yicheng? Su Chen, this guy, really knows so many people. Lin Yuru was amazed again and again. It seemed that the person who mocked Su Chen just now was not her. Su Chen smiled bitterly and shook his head. Why are you all here? Didn't we say goodbye when we had dinner yesterday? Gao Zepeng smiled. A farewell party is a farewell party, and a farewell party is a farewell party. How can they be confused? Others also looked at Su Chen with a smile. It was because of Su Chen's arrival that the entire Yicheng had undergone earth-shaking changes. The same was true for each of their families. Su Chen smiled and said, "Thank you all. In the future, if you go to Bincheng, you can contact me. I probably won't leave in the short term." As he said this, Su Chen said goodbye to everyone one by one, and then got on the car and left. At this time, everyone also saw Lin Yuru driving, and An Linglang sitting in the passenger seat. In the crowd, Gao Tingting's face was gloomy. There is always such a beautiful woman around Su Chen. However, she soon figured it out. Originally, people like Su Chen are not from the same world as her. His ability and achievements destined him to be the kind of person who would stand on the clouds. However, Gao Tingting felt a little ridiculous when she thought about how she disliked Su Chen when she first met him. Perhaps, this will become my most beautiful memory in the future, Gao Tingting said secretly in her heart. Su Chen's car went on the highway. Everyone also said goodbye. Gao Tingting's father Gao Guangxing secretly approached Gao Zepeng. Xiaopeng, look, can you match Tingting and Su Chen again? Gao Guangxing asked. Gao Zepeng smiled bitterly and said, "Second uncle, how can I match them? Can I influence Mr. Su's decision? Besides, didn't I match them before, but it didn't work out." At this point, Gao Guangxing looked very annoyed. At that time, we didn't know Su Chen was so capable. As a result, when Tingting went to the hotel with him, your second aunt, and I got involved. Now, your second aunt complains about me every day and asked me to ask you for help again. Gao Zepeng said helplessly, "Second uncle, I don't think this matter is likely. I think Mr. Su doesn't seem to have that intention towards Tingting. What's more, Tingting seems to have accepted it. How about I introduce someone else to Tingting, such as an outstanding young entrepreneur?" Yankin interrupted on the side. "Can he be as good as Su Chen?" Gao Zepeng said, "Second aunt, he is definitely far behind." Yankin sighed. "We all two are just a little unwilling to accept this." "Not only are you unwilling to accept this, I'm unwilling to accept this too," Gao Zepeng said. "You can't pick out such an outstanding young man among so many." Gao Zepeng thought for a moment and said, "After that, I should focus my energy on the provincial capital." From what Mr. Su said, he may also follow Bincheng Zhao's catering to the provincial capital in the future. Later, I will take Tingting with me to the provincial capital. If I can have more contact with Mr. Su, I will try again. If not, there are more outstanding young people in the provincial capital. Second uncle, second aunt, what do you think? Gao Guangxing and Yankin looked at each other and had to agree. Gao Zepeng was relieved. After Gao Guangxing and his family left, Li Changqing came over. He asked Gao Zepeng, "Are you really going to the provincial capital just for business? Here, Su Chen left you an entire Jingyan group." Gao Zepeng sighed and said, "Half and half. Half is for business, and the other half is to repay Mr. Su." "Oh." Li Changqing was a little surprised. "Why?" Gao Zepeng said, "Here in Yicheng, Mr. Long is gone, King Shenman is gone, and the Yan family has collapsed. I basically have no problems here. Even if I leave temporarily, there will be no problem. However, Mr. Su's troubles in the provincial capital are not small. Among the 8 major families in the provincial capital, he offended the Lei Rong family, the Bei family, the Li family, and the Zhu family. Moreover, it seems that he has offended Jindao Zong and the invincible Yang Wudi of the Divine Fist. If he really goes to the provincial capital, it is very likely that something will happen. If I'm in the provincial capital, maybe I can help at a critical moment." Li Changqing gave Gao Zepeng a thumbs up. "Old Gao, good job. I deserve this great favor from Mr. Su." Gao Zepeng smiled. On the other side, Su Chen sat in the car, but he didn't know Gao Zepeng's arrangement. Ling Yuru drove the car and said indifferently, I didn't expect that you really made some good friends in Yicheng. Su Chen smiled. They have good character. There's nothing I can do. Besides, these people are not bad. They know how to be grateful. Unlike some people who only know how to sneer and ridicule every day after being helped by others. Suddenly, Ling Yuru blushed. You. Chapter 416. It's nice to chat with you. Ling Yuru was immediately furious when Su Chen mocked her, but she couldn't refute Su Chen's words. On the side, and Ling Lang covered her mouth and laughed. For some reason, her sister Ru just didn't get along with Su Chen. When the two met, they would definitely quarrel. It was quite interesting to watch the two bickering. Along the way, the three of them talked and laughed, and soon arrived in Bincheng. Where are we going next? And Ling Lang asked. Su Chen thought for a while. Let's find a hotel to stay in first. As for the future, let's see where to buy a suite. And Ling Lang searched for a good hotel on her mobile phone, and the three of them drove over. At this time, and Ling Lang asked, Mr. Su, have you thought about what kind of company to start? Su Chen shook his head. I don't have too many ideas about business. It can be completely based on your opinion, Misson. As for me, I will mainly provide the funds. As for the management, I will never interfere. And Ling Lang smiled. I'm really in a good position. Su Chen smiled and said, the main thing is that apart from providing funds, I don't know anything about business. And Ling Lang smiled. In fact, if I want to start a company, what I'm best at is medicine. After all, I was in Yaowang Valley before. I have experience in the supply and channels of some medicinal materials. But? Su Chen asked. But what? And Ling Lang frowned slightly. But if we do medicine, there may be much more competition. In this regard, there are already many large families and forces dominating. If we rush in, we may be targeted by others. Su Chen said lightly. Normal business competition. It doesn't matter. But if someone wants to do something behind the scenes, I will let them know that they have found the wrong person. And Ling Lang nodded. Su Chen's words gave her a sense of security she had never felt before. At the beginning, in Yaowang Valley, even with the support of the Zhou family in the provincial capital, she had never felt so dependent. Okay, you just arrived in Bincheng. You should take a rest first. Don't think about work too early. Relax first. Su Chen advised. And Ling Lang smiled sweetly. Okay, thank you Mr. Su. Just call me Su Chen from now on. No need to be so polite. Su Chen said. And Ling Lang smiled and said, okay, Su Chen. Then you can call me Ling Lang from now on. Ling Lang. Su Chen also nodded. Ahem. Ling Yuru said with disgust, you two are so clingy. Are you done? We're already at the hotel. And Ling Lang blushed. Ling Yuru parked the car, and Ling Lang went to open the room. Su Chen carried all the things, and took them directly to the room. And Ling Lang's choice of hotel was naturally not as casual as Su Chen's. She chose the presidential suite of a 5-star hotel. Having worked in Yaowang Valley for so long, and Ling Lang is very wealthy, the three arranged everything. Then, Su Chen was about to leave, and Ling Lang and the reluctant Ling Yuru saw Su Chen off together. By the way, Mr. Su, do you want to open a company in Bincheng or the provincial capital? And Ling Lang asked. Su Chen scratched his head and said, I'm not sure about this. Let's wait and see. Su Chen also wanted to see if Zhou Wanqiu had any plans to enter the provincial capital. And Ling Lang asked in confusion, then what is your purpose in opening this company? You are not thinking about how to settle us too, right? Su Chen smiled. Settling you is only one reason. Another reason is that, if I have a company, it will be more convenient to help Zhao's catering group in the future. And Ling Lang will have full authority to help him manage it, and Su Chen does not want to hide it. And Ling Lang was stunned. Su Chen explained, you may also know that I'm currently working at Zhao's catering group, and I'm the secretary of President Zhou Wanqiu. I was thinking that when it is not convenient for me to show up in the future, there will be a company that can help Zhao's catering. So, Misson, just do it with confidence. It doesn't matter whether it is profitable or not. For a moment, and Ling Lang felt envious. Okay, I understand. And Ling Lang nodded. Then, the two girls sent Su Chen away. Ling Yuru said, Ling Lang, did you see that? This guy's going after that Zhou Wanqiu. Even if you help him with all your heart, it's probably like flirting with a blind man. And Linglong shook her head and said, Sister Ru, doesn't this just prove that Mr. Su is more reliable? Ling Yuru looked at Linglong in disbelief. She said helplessly, it's over. He's crazy, completely crazy. And Linglong smiled. Then, she walked out. Ling Yuru immediately asked, Linglong, what are you doing? And Linglong said, Sister Ru, let's go look at houses. Ling Yuru was confused. Go look at houses? Which houses? And Linglong had already spoken, so Ling Yuru had to get in the car. Following in Linglong's route instructions, the car drove to a luxurious community. Seeing this community, Ling Yuru was completely speechless. Isn't this the community where Su Chen lives? And Linglong smiled and nodded. Yes. You want to live here? Ling Yuru asked. And Linglong nodded. Isn't it more convenient here? Then, and Linglong went directly to the agent and took down a villa as quickly as possible without considering the price. The agent laughed like crazy, having never met such a buy before. No bargaining on the price or handling fee. All the requirements were only one, that is, fast. Sure enough, money can make the devil push the mill. In half a day, the procedures that should be run were almost done. And Linglong and Ling Yuru also got the keys to the villa. After Linglong paid a large sum of property management fees in one go, the property management sent a special staff member to help with the arrangements. And Linglong then asked the property management staff, it seems that there are many big entrepreneurs in Yicheng in our community, right? And Linglong asked with a smile. Wang Kaiang, a property management staff member, said proudly, of course. There are several, including Shunli Manufacturing, the Zhao family of Zhao's catering group, and Linglong smiled and said, I heard that Zhou Wanqiu, the general manager of Zhao's catering group, is a great beauty. Wang Kaiang nodded and said, that's right. General Manager Zhao's ability and beauty are second to none. I don't know if such a beautiful woman is married. I remember that there is a man in their family. Is that her husband? And Linglong asked with a smile. Wang Kaiang shook his head. No. I heard that it was a relative from a mountain village who came here to curry favor with him. I think General Manager Zhao doesn't like that man and often doesn't smile at him. Hearing this, and Linglong's smile became even stronger. Okay, thank you Mr. Wang. I'll stop here today and go back first. And Linglong said with a smile. Wang Kaiang said quickly, Missun, you recharged several years of property fees at one time, and our property has gifts for you. And Linglong smiled and said, I'm very happy to chat with you. I'll give you the gifts from the property. After that, and Linglong turned and left. Wang Kaiang was surprised. Missun is also a beautiful and kind person. And Linglong bought a villa in the same community, but Su Chen didn't know about it. At this time, he had returned home and greeted Zhao Girang and Zhao Rangchang. Zhao Girang even prepared a bunch of delicious food for Su Chen to replenish his body. Su Chen was very moved. He originally wanted to go directly to the company, but was held at home by Zhao Rangchang. You just came back, have a good rest. Eat something, drink something, and replenish your body. Looking at the enthusiastic two people, Su Chen was deeply moved. When Su Chen was happy and moved, on the other side, a group of people were furious. The next chapter will take an hour. Chapter 417. A short separation is better than a new marriage. Provincial capital. Zhou family. Bang. The sound of a teacup breaking exploded in the hall. On the main seat, sat a middle-aged man with an angry face. This man was the heir to the Zhou family, the eldest uncle of the Zhou family, Zhou Xianzhang. And he was Zhou Qingyuan's father. Zhou Xianzhang stared at Zhou Xianzhao, as well as the two brothers Jiang Huarishan and Jiang Huarishu. What? You said that those two bitches were not brought back. Zhou Xianzhang's eyes were cold. Zhou Xianzhao looked aggrieved and said that Su Chen is really too strong. Even the two old priests couldn't beat him. He kicked the ball to Jiang Huarishan and Jiang Huarishu. Jiang Huarishan looked embarrassed and didn't know what to say. However, Jiang Huarishu said lightly, the cultivation of that Su Chen is no less than that of the demigod realm. Although the two of us brothers claim to be able to fight against demigods together, we are really no match for him. Zhou Xianzhang was stunned. His eyes were fierce. Is Su Chen really that powerful? Zhou Xianzhao said, the head of the family is really powerful. The old worshipper Zhou Wanqiu was beaten to internal bleeding by him. The old worshipper Zhou Wanqiu was also beaten to the point of losing his mind by him. He also said that, if our Zhou family dares to provoke him again, he will go directly to our door to seek revenge. Bang! Zhou Qianzhang slapped the fine pearwood table. What an arrogant bastard. He sent King Yuan to the Qinhui prison, and I haven't gone to find him yet, but he is looking for trouble with me. Zhou Wanqiu said in a deep voice, don't be impulsive. This Su Chen's martial arts skills are terrifying. I suspect that, when he fought with our two brothers, he may not have used all his strength. If you are not sure of winning, I suggest you don't provoke him. After saying this, everyone in the Zhou family was furious. What? Our Zhou family in the provincial capital is one of the 8 major families, but we are afraid of a brat who came from nowhere? That kid dared to threaten our Zhou family. He must be tired of living. I suggest that we send a priest to kill him. Yes, kill him. Otherwise, our Zhou family will lose all face. The Zhou family has dominated Bincheng for many years. When has it ever suffered such grievances? Zhou Qianzhang frowned. He was also wondering in his heart whether Zhou Wanqiu and Zhou Wanqiu were defeated by Su Chen, and deliberately emphasized Su Chen's strength for the sake of face. Zhou Qianzhang gritted his teeth and said, even if Su Chen is a semi-god master, my Zhou family is not afraid. There are no less than 5 Yuan-Qi masters in my Zhou family. It's just the semi-god realm, and Zhou Zishan is also at this level. Besides, my Zhou family also has masters in the god realm. Why should we be afraid of a young boy like him? Zhou Wanqiu reminded, but the Zhou family's masters in the god realm are not here now. Zhou Qianzhang was stunned. Then, he looked at a middle-aged man with black and white hair. Zishan, you are also a demigod. Are you sure you can deal with Su Chen? This middle-aged man, Zhou Zishan, is a demigod master from the Zhou family's side branch. More importantly, his master is a true god master. Although Zhou Zishan is a demigod master, he is not arrogant. According to Jiang Laogong, Su Chen's strength must be extraordinary. So, whether we can defeat him or not, we can only know after fighting. Zhou Qianzhang frowned. He was not particularly satisfied with this answer. Zishan, when will your master come back? Zhou Qianzhang asked. Zhou Zishan shook his head. I don't know either. Zhou Qianzhang frowned. A group of Zhou family members couldn't bear it, and they all said they wanted to teach Su Chen a lesson, to maintain the dignity of the Zhou family. Bang! Zhou Qianzhang slammed the table. The dignity of the Zhou family cannot be insulted. I don't believe that our Zhou family, with a demigod and several Yuan-Qi masters, can't be a match for a young boy like him. Hasn't that kid already returned to Bincheng? I heard that he has a close relationship with the Zhou family in Bincheng. Let's do this. Let Shen Wan go to the Zhou family to do something, and teach Su Chen a lesson. By the way, let's also see how good that kid is. Shen Wang, what do you think? At this time, an old man in a black robe with a dry body came out. Suddenly, the people around him retreated instantly. Because this person's appearance was too scary. There were several centipedes crawling on his body, and he was playing with a venomous snake in his hand. There was even a spider moving around in his hair. This person was the Zhou family's innate worshipper, the insect king Shen Bianchao. Old Shen, do you have confidence? Zhou Qianzhang asked. Shen Bianchao sneered. If I fight Su Chen directly, I might still be a little afraid. But if it's just to cause some damage, it's like a vacation for me. Zhou Qianzhang was overjoyed. Okay, Mr. Shen, according to our intelligence, Su Chen seems to think highly of the Zhou family. This time, you should do your best to mess with the Zhou family. I want to see if Su Chen really dares to provoke my Zhou family. Shen Bianchao sneered. Don't worry. I promise to make the Zhou family suffer heavy losses. As soon as the voice fell, Shen Bianchao's figure had disappeared. A group of Zhou family members immediately celebrated. Only Zhou Wanqiu had a trace of disdain on his face. Without the Xianshan god realm, I'm afraid that, no matter how many Xianshan masters there are, they can't stop Su Chen. After all, Su Chen's vitality and mental power are too terrifying. What's more terrifying is his understanding of martial arts. Just by seeing himself use the soul-devouring fist, he realized this method of use, and he also put it into practice. This ability is too terrifying. If possible, Zhou Wanqiu would never want to be an enemy of Su Chen again. Without a strong man in the divine realm, it would be very miserable to go against Su Chen. Looking at the excited Zhou family, Zhou Wanqiu smiled coldly. Then, he pulled his brother Zhou Wanqiu away. He didn't want to get involved in the following things. Bincheng. Su Chen was in the Zhou family villa, enjoying Zhao Gireng's food hospitality, and didn't know that the Zhou family was ready to take action. Soon, Zhou Wanqiu got off work and happened to see Su Chen enjoying life at home. She was stunned. She was not used to Su Chen's absence these few days. Even sleeping in the bedroom was not as free as she imagined, but a sense of insecurity. I don't know since when, with Su Chen around, she always feels a sense of peace. However, when she saw Su Chen coming back, her face still showed a look of disgust. You still know to come back? I thought you were having fun outside. Zhou Wanqiu snorted coldly. Zhou Wanqiu immediately said angrily, Wanqiu, how can you talk like that? Didn't you arrange the business trip for Su Chen? Why are you blaming him? Zhou Wanqiu paused. She just remembered that she had told her family that Su Chen was on a business trip arranged by the company. Now, it seems like she has shot herself in the foot. Zhou Wanqiu quickly changed her words. I saw that he came back, but he didn't know to report to the company, but ate and drank at home. Zhou Wanqiu glared and said, Su Chen wanted to go back to the company first, but I didn't let him go back. Otherwise, I will write a self-criticism and give it to you. Zhao Gireng also said, Zhou Chen has been working so hard outside, so he should rest first. When he comes back, I will give him some delicious food to replenish his body, and it won't be too late to go to the company tomorrow. Seeing that grandpa and mother defended Su Chen, Zhou Wanqiu was speechless. It's obvious. In this family, her status is far lower than that of Su Chen. Okay, I was wrong. Zhou Wanqiu quickly begged for mercy. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Gireng let her go. Su Chen, who was watching the excitement, almost laughed out loud. Zhou Wanqiu, on the other hand, glared at Su Chen fiercely. Not long after, Zhao Pingjiang also came back. Su Chen, you're back. A hint of surprise flashed across his face. Since Su Chen saved his life several times, Zhao Pingjiang has become more accepting of Su Chen. Su Chen also greeted him politely. Soon, the family had dinner together in harmony and happiness. However, this harmony and happiness was what Su Chen thought. Zhou Wanqiu glared at Su Chen from time to time. Su Chen looked puzzled. He had just come back, and he was experiencing the familiar treatment again. After dinner, Su Chen wanted to help Zhao Gireng clean up the dishes. As a result, Zhao Gireng pushed Su Chen out of the kitchen. Go back to your bedroom. And Wanqiu, don't stay on the sofa. A short separation is better than a new marriage. You two should go back to your rooms. Zhao Gireng said with a smile. Suddenly, Zhou Wanqiu's face immediately turned red. Mom, what are you talking about? After saying that, Zhou Wanqiu's pretty face turned red, and she hurried back to the bedroom on the second floor. This house is really unbearable to stay in. And Su Chen, also urged by Zhao Gireng, had to go upstairs. Alas, I have to face Zhou Wanqiu alone again. End today. 4 updates will be resumed soon. Thank you for your support. Chapter 418 Zhou Wanqiu's Pride. Su Chen went upstairs slowly. At the door of the bedroom, he took a deep breath before knocking and entering. Zhou Wanqiu sat on her bed and looked at Su Chen coldly. Although this man had lived in the same room with her for a while, but now he suddenly left for a few days and then came back, which still made Zhou Wanqiu feel a little uncomfortable. Thinking of what her mother said just now, Zhou Wanqiu felt even more ashamed. She looked at Su Chen coldly. Pack your things. As soon as you came back, you made a mess of things. Su Chen was stunned. Then, he noticed that, when he came back this afternoon, he casually put his big leather bag on the aisle. Compared with the exquisiteness of Zhou Wanqiu's room, this cheap big leather bag does seem a bit out of place. However, if it comes to value, let alone Zhou Wanqiu's room, even the entire Zhou family villa is not worth 1% of this leather bag. Su Chen glanced at Zhou Wanqiu and asked, Mr. Zhou, is there any extra cabinet in the bedroom, so I can put my things down? Zhou Wanqiu looked at Su Chen with disdain and said, "You are the one who is too nosy. You go out for a while and bring back a bunch of messy things. I don't know if there are any bacteria." She complained verbally, but she made room for Su Chen under the closet. Su Chen smiled. Zhou Wanqiu is like this. She is harder than anyone else, but her heart is relatively kind. Su Chen walked over with the briefcase and bent down to open it. Zhou Wanqiu also looked over with some curiosity. After Su Chen opened the briefcase, he saw the bottles and jars inside, as well as various packaging boxes. The bottles and jars were all various finished elixirs. The packaging boxes were the elixir that Su Chen got. In addition to these things, there were also some formation flags, talisman paper, secret books and other messy things. Zhou Wanqiu curled her lips when she saw these things. "I thought you went out for a while and brought back something good." Zhou Wanqiu was quite disdainful. Su Chen said, "These things are worth at least several billion." Zhou Wanqiu said coldly, "After going out, you are more boastful than before. It's just a pile of junk, and it's worth several billion. Are you talking about Zimbabwean dollars?" Su Chen was too lazy to explain and put everything away with his head down. He put most of the spiritual medicines directly into the cabinet because he didn't use them often anyway. He only kept one that might be used. For the elixirs, Su Chen only kept a little of each on him. As for the talisman paper and formation flags, Su Chen just put them on his body. Zhou Wanqiu asked with a puzzled look, "What are these yellow papers and small flags for?" Su Chen explained, "These are talisman paper and formation flags. Talisman paper has various functions, and formation flags can be used to arrange formations." Formation? Zhou Wanqiu was like hearing a fairy tale. She widened her eyes and said, "Can you stop doing these feudal superstitions every day? I think you just read too many novels." Su Chen glanced at her indifferently and was too lazy to explain. Seeing Su Chen's attitude, Zhou Wanqiu's heart suddenly got angry again. "This look, it feels like looking at a fool." Zhou Wanqiu said, "Go take a shower." Su Chen said, "I took a shower when I just came back." "That won't work." Zhou Wanqiu immediately glared. "How long has it been since you came back? Besides, the things you just packed are not very clean." Su Chen looked helpless. He knew that Zhou Wanqiu had a slight misophobia. It is estimated that she will always feel uncomfortable if she doesn't see herself taking a shower. "Okay," Su Chen responded, then took the clothes and went into the bathroom again. He could only take a shower again. Hoo hoo hoo. In the bathroom, the sound of running water suddenly sounded. Zhou Wanqiu was in the bedroom. Hearing this familiar voice, her heart inexplicably calmed down. However, she soon thought of what Zhao Girang said just now, and her face turned red again. Mom is really talking nonsense every day. At this time, ding-ling-ling, a mobile phone rang. Zhou Wanqiu looked over and found that it was Su Chen's phone. She hesitated for a moment, but finally picked up the phone. Just after the call was connected, a sweet female voice came over. "Su Chen, have you returned to Bincheng?" Zhou Wanqiu's face sank instantly. "I'm back. I'm taking a shower. Call me back later." After that, Zhou Wanqiu hung up the phone. She didn't know why she answered the call and why she deliberately said those words. However, she felt a little uncomfortable. "Asshole. A dog will always eat shit. I just came back and a wild woman came to my door." Zhou Wanqiu was secretly annoyed. On the other side, Kao Qingyan was holding the phone, also confused. She had learned that her uncle Han Daosheng was saved by Su Chen. So, she thought about calling to thank Su Chen. But she didn't expect that when she called, a woman answered the phone. The voice that answered the phone just now seems to be Zhou Wanqiu, the president of Zhao's catering group. Why did she answer the phone? Why did she know that Su Chen was taking a shower? Do she and Su Chen live together? For a moment, the policewoman Kao Qingyan felt a little sour for no reason. In the bedroom, Su Chen walked out of the bathroom. He suddenly found that the atmosphere in the bedroom seemed to be wrong. Turning around, he saw Zhou Wanqiu looking at him with contempt. What's wrong with this woman? Su Chen was puzzled. He just took a shower, so he shouldn't have offended her, right? At this time, Zhou Wanqiu said coldly, "Haha. Su Chen, you are really amazing. A woman called me just after I got home. Is it because you have been away from Bincheng for so long that your rich female clients miss you like crazy? Su Chen looked puzzled. What rich female clients? However, he still picked up the phone and took a look. As a result, he found that there was a received call just now. Su Chen called directly. It was connected quickly. Kao Kingan's voice rang out. Su Chen, have you finished your shower? Su Chen was startled and glanced at Zhou Wanqiu. It was obvious that this was what Zhou Wanqiu had just said to Kao Kingan. Zhou Wanqiu was a little embarrassed when she saw Su Chen's gaze. However, she then persuaded herself. Why should I feel guilty? I was just helping Su Chen answer a phone call, and I didn't do anything wrong. It was Su Chen who was messing around. He should be ashamed. Zhou Wanqiu raised her head and looked at Su Chen. Su Chen was too lazy to pay attention to her. Well, Miss Ko, your uncle has already returned to the provincial capital, did you know? Su Chen asked directly. Kao Kingan nodded. Well, my aunt has called me. Mr. Su, thank you. Su Chen smiled. Nothing. Kao Kingan said, I'll treat you to dinner when you have time later. Okay. Su Chen smiled. The two chatted for a few more sentences before hanging up the phone. Su Chen turned his head only to find that Zhou Wanqiu pretended not to care but secretly stretched her ears to listen. Seeing Su Chen's eyes coming over, Zhou Wanqiu hurriedly pretended that nothing happened. Su Chen smiled. It's Kao Kingan. I went to Yicheng this time to help her find someone. Now that the person has been found, she called to thank me. Zhou Wanqiu heard this and said proudly, why are you telling me this? I'm not interested. You can do whatever you want with those messy women outside. Just don't let my grandfather and my mother see it. Su Chen smiled. Soon, the two turned off the lights and went to sleep. This time, Zhou Wanqiu slept very soundly. However, in the middle of the night, ding-ling-ling, a burst of urgent mobile phone rings woke Zhou Wanqiu up. After she answered the phone, her face suddenly changed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419. There's an insect plague. In Zhou Wanqiu's bedroom. Snap. The light suddenly turned on. Su Chen turned his head and looked at Zhou Wanqiu. Zhou Wanqiu's face was livid and she answered the phone. How could this happen? Has my dad gone? How is he injured? Okay. Don't worry, I'll be there soon. Then, she was about to get up and put on her clothes. Su Chen hurriedly asked, what happened? Zhou Wanqiu said anxiously, there's a problem with Zhao's Catering's largest food base. The person in charge over there said that for some reason, a lot of insects are rushing into the warehouse raw material area. A lot of food raw materials are contaminated. Moreover, many workers have been injured by poisonous insects and snakes. They notified my dad first, but he went there without telling me. It seems that he was bitten too. Su Chen was startled. This seems a little abnormal. Insects and poisonous insects, how can they do this kind of collective action? The only possibility is human control. Su Chen said, I'll go with you. Let's see if I can help. Zhou Wanqiu was delighted, but she said, what can you do to help? Just don't make trouble. Su Chen knew she was just being stubborn, so he didn't bother to pay attention. He put on his clothes and packed his things. When they were about to go out, Su Chen suddenly said, wait a minute. Zhou Wanqiu was startled. Are you going to the bathroom? She had seen on the internet that many men go to the bathroom first when they go out. Su Chen looked at her helplessly, then turned and walked to the cabinet where he kept his spiritual medicine. He took out a spiritual medicine from it. Then, he put the formation flag and talisman paper on his body. Zhou Wanqiu was speechless. What time is it? You are still carrying these messy things? Su Chen said. Maybe these things can come in handy. Zhou Wanqiu said impatiently. Okay. Let's go quickly. Then, the two went downstairs. At this time, Zhao Giran and Zhao Rangchang also got up. Wanqiu, I heard that something happened at the food factory. Zhou Wanqiu said with a serious face. Zhou Wanqiu nodded. Yes, Grandpa. For some reason, there are many insects over there, and many of them are poisonous. I have to go there now. Zhao Girang said anxiously. Wanqiu, I heard that your father was injured. Tell him to find a doctor. Su Chen said. Aunt Zhao, it's okay, I'm here. Uncle Zhao will be fine. Yeah. Zhao Rongchang also nodded. I'm relieved with Zhou Chen here. You two, go quickly. The two didn't explain too much, and set off directly. Soon, the two arrived at the food base of Zhao's catering group. In fact, this is also a large food factory. Here, not only does it produce branded food, but it also helps various subsidiaries, hotels, and fast food under Zhao's catering group to pre-process various ingredients. So, if there is a problem with the goods here, it may affect the operation of the entire Zhao's catering group. Zhou Wanqiu and Su Chen had just arrived when the person in charge, Shan Giheng, came to greet them. Shan Giheng is actually Shan Yang's aunt. As soon as Zhou Wanqiu came up, he asked directly, direct to Shan, what's the situation here? Shan Giheng's face was full of anxiety. Boss Zhao, it's very bad. We don't know what happened here. Suddenly, a bunch of wasps, centipedes, snakes, spiders, and all kinds of insects appeared, and they drilled into our warehouse like crazy. After our employees found out, they wanted to stop them, but those poisonous bees and snakes actually attacked our employees. Several employees have been poisoned. Your father also arrived before, but he was also bitten by a poisonous snake. Now, no one dares to get close, and can only let those insects crawl into the warehouse. I don't know why. After they crawl in, they will explode. I watched the surveillance. A lot of noodles, rice, oil, and various spices, oil and other raw materials have been ruined. And there are more and more. Su Chen's face changed. He was sure that there must be a guy who can control insects in command. Take me to see first. Zhou Wanqiu said anxiously. Immediately, Shan Giheng led Zhou Wanqiu to the front. I saw that on the ground, there were clumps of insects rushing towards the warehouse. In the sky, there were also flying poisonous bees, moths and various unknown flying insects. The scene was indeed a bit scary. Some employees fell to the ground with painful expressions. Some people had red and swollen lumps on their faces, and it seemed that they were stung by poisonous bees. Some people had blood holes on their legs from being bitten by poisonous snakes. Zhou Wanqiu's father, Zhao Pingjiang, also had a purple face and a weak breath. It seemed that the poisonous snake that bit him was not simple. Zhou Wanqiu's face suddenly changed, and he looked panicked. Shan Giheng said, Mr. Zhao, don't worry, we have called 120, and the medical staff will be here soon. Also, we have called the fire department, and they will come to help us kill insects. Su Chen said, it's too late. Shan Giheng was stunned. Su Chen said, the poisonous snake that bit Uncle Zhao is very poisonous. Uncle Zhao won't be able to hold on until then. Some of those employees are also severely poisoned. Su Chen, please save my dad. Zhou Wanqiu looked at Su Chen and begged. At this time, she finally remembered that Su Chen's medical skills were very good. Su Chen nodded and said, don't worry, I'm prepared. Then, Su Chen took out the elixir he brought from the bedroom cabinet, ambergris ginseng. He broke it into different small pieces with his hands, and then asked Shan Giheng to bring a cup of water. At this time, it was not convenient to pound the medicine. Su Chen directly pinched the ambergris ginseng with his hands, directly crushed it into powder, mixed it with water, and fed it to several patients, who were seriously poisoned. Then, Su Chen helped them expel the venom. For some people who were less poisoned, Su Chen just helped them expel the poison, and then fed them a little medicine. Soon, the complexion of these people improved a lot. Zhou Wanqiu saw that Zhao Pingjiang's complexion recovered, and his breathing became even, so he was relieved. She looked at Su Chen gratefully and said, Su Chen, thank you. Su Chen smiled. On the side, Shan Giheng also breathed a sigh of relief. However, she said with some regret, I just don't know when the firefighters will arrive. I'm afraid that when they arrive, a lot of our ingredients and food will be ruined. Zhou Wanqiu's face was gloomy. She said, in fact, what I'm more afraid of is that after the firefighters arrive, the matter of insects in our Zhao's food factory will be widely publicized. In this case, the reputation of our group will suffer a huge blow. Xiangyan was stunned. She realized that, if there were so many insects in the food factory, if someone spread this to the internet media, it would be a heavy blow to Zhao's catering group. The most critical issue in the food and catering industry is a reputation. We can't wait for the firefighters to come. We must solve it in advance, Zhou Wanqiu said decisively. Xiangyan looked helpless. These insects are like crazy. How can we control them? Zhou Wanqiu suddenly felt powerless. At this time, Su Chen suddenly said, how about, let me try it. Chapter 420. Just rely on these messes. Su Chen volunteered. Zhou Wanqiu and Xiangyan were both stunned. You come. How can you do it? These are all bugs. Zhou Wanqiu said. Su Chen said, obviously, these bugs are controlled by someone. Zhou Wanqiu was stunned. Someone can control bugs. She looked unconvinced. Su Chen said, otherwise, how can these bugs be so crazy? Moreover, the bugs will explode when they run into the food container to contaminate all the food. It is obvious that someone is controlling them. If we don't get rid of all these bugs immediately, the other party will dare to ruin all the food and food. Zhou Wanqiu was skeptical, but even if someone is controlling them, how can you solve it? Su Chen took out dozens of battle flags and said, set up the battle formation. Zhou Wanqiu was stunned, just relying on these few small flags. It's time now, and you are still doing these messy feudal superstitions? Su Chen asked back, then do you have any other way? Zhou Wanqiu was stunned. Su Chen turned to Xiangyan and said, Director Shan, please go get some gas cylinders and light the fire. Xiangyan was confused and didn't know what Su Chen was going to do. Zhou Wanqiu said directly, do as Su Chen said. Xiangyan turned around immediately. However, she still felt that Su Chen and Zhou Wanqiu must be desperate. Isn't this obviously nonsense? Su Chen took advantage of this opportunity to quickly find an open space and plant the flags in different corners. Zhou Wanqiu looked at Su Chen. He walked around in the open space, counting from time to time. Then, he planted the flags in different places. Zhou Wanqiu was speechless. I must be crazy to believe Su Chen's nonsense. Su Chen quickly planted all the flags. Then, he took out a piece of ambergris ginseng and put it in the middle of the formation. Xiangyan also found 5 large gas cylinders. Su Chen directly used 5 large gas cylinders to surround the piece of ambergris ginseng in the middle. Ignite. Su Chen gave an order. 5 gas tanks were ignited one after another. Suddenly, 5 tongues of fire sprayed in all directions. Whether it was the ground or the air, it was roasted extremely hot. Zhou Wanqiu was confused. She couldn't help but ask, Su Chen, what are you doing? Su Chen smiled and said, I want to attract the insects. Then, Su Chen pinched his fingers and chanted a spell. Suddenly, the small flags around fluttered without wind. A special aura was formed instantly. Then, a special fragrance also spread. What is this smell? It smells so good. Zhou Wanqiu twitched her nose. Su Chen took out the remaining small piece of ambergris ginseng and said, smell it. Is it this smell? Zhou Wanqiu took it and smelled it, and was stunned. That's the smell. But your smell is a little light. At this point, Zhou Wanqiu looked at the piece of ambergris ginseng surrounded by 5 gas tanks. Is this the smell of that medicine? Zhou Wanqiu asked. Su Chen nodded. That's right. Ambergris not only has the miraculous effect of detoxification, but also releases fragrance to attract various insects. Besides, I have set up a formation to catalyze this smell and effect. Zhou Wanqiu asked, what's the use of this? Su Chen smiled and did not answer. At this moment, Xiangyan suddenly exclaimed, Boss Zhou, look. Those bugs. Those bugs. They all turned around. Zhou Wanqiu turned his head and looked. I saw that the bugs that originally rushed towards the warehouse all turned around and ran towards the ambergris. Some crawled on the ground and some flew in the sky, but they all rushed like crazy. However, in front of the ambergris, there were 5 large gas tanks that were ruthlessly spraying fire. For a while, various crackling and exploding sounds rang out. But even if countless bugs were burned to death, there were still countless people who continued to rush forward. Zhou Wanqiu and Xiangyan looked at Su Chen in shock. This can really work. Zhou Wanqiu swallowed his saliva. Xiangyang was also in disbelief. Oh my god. Even the bugs that entered the warehouse are coming out. Come here and burn to death. When they come out, waves of bugs, all of them flew into the fire without hesitation. After a while, there were fewer and fewer bugs. Slowly, they disappeared completely, and on the ground, there were bug corpses burned into black carbon. Everyone was stunned. Zhou Wanqiu hurriedly said to Xiangyang, Director Shan, quickly find a few trusted people to clean up here. Then, go check the losses in the warehouse. In addition, all the bug corpses must be cleaned up. The spoiled ingredients must not be used again. Finally, the surveillance video must be deleted to prevent someone from borrowing it to attack us. Xiangyang nodded quickly and took people to work. Zhou Wanqiu, on the other hand, walked towards Su Chen, who was packing up. Su Chen was looking at his piece of ambergris with a look of regret. After the catalysis of this wave of formations, the medicinal effect of this piece of ambergris was lost a lot. Fortunately, the insect plague was solved. Zhou Wanqiu came over and said a little embarrassedly, Su Chen, thank you. Before, when Su Chen came with her, she mocked Su Chen for bringing these messy things. In the end, it was these messy things that saved Zhao's catering group. Zhou Wanqiu looked at Su Chen and asked, Su Chen, what's going on with you? Su Chen said, didn't I tell you? It's a formation. Use formation flags to set up a formation, and then stimulate the fragrance of ambergris ginseng, and then attract insects. Oh. Zhou Wanqiu looked doubtful. Su Chen was too lazy to explain too much to her. Anyway, she wouldn't believe it if he said too much. Soon, Xiangyang ran back. Mr. Zhao, the losses have been counted. Fortunately, these insects were solved in time, and our losses are not very large. Total, it's about more than 5 million. Zhou Wanqiu breathed a sigh of relief. She could still accept a loss of more than 5 million. That's good. Let's finish it quickly. We must not let the news spread and affect the company's image. Zhou Wanqiu instructed. Xiangyang said, don't worry, I'm bringing my own people. Then, Xiangyang continued to work. Zhou Wanqiu turned her head. She saw that Su Chen was digging out a living poisonous bee from the ground beside him. Su Chen, what are you doing? Zhou Wanqiu asked in confusion. Su Chen smiled, looking for someone. Who? Zhou Wanqiu asked. Su Chen said, looking for the person who controls the insects. Since he can do it this time, he can do it a second time. If we can't solve him, I'm afraid we will never have peace here. Zhou Wanqiu's face changed immediately. Obviously, what Su Chen said made sense. Zhou Wanqiu asked, why don't we call the police? Su Chen smiled. It's useless to call the police. The police symbols can't deal with this person, but I can. Zhou Wanqiu was stunned. How do you find him? Su Chen smiled and picked up the poisonous bee in his hand. Rely on this. Zhou Wanqiu was stunned. Without waiting for her to ask again, Su Chen said, take Uncle Zhao home first. I'll go deal with that guy. As he spoke, Su Chen threw the poisonous bee away. In an instant, the poisonous bee flapped its wings and flew outside. Su Chen's figure also followed it out. Zhou Wanqiu hurriedly said, Su Chen, be careful. If you are in danger, come back. Thank you, Mr. Zhao, for your concern. Su Chen's voice floated from afar. Zhou Wanqiu blushed. She quickly looked around, and when she saw that no one was paying attention, she calmed down. Bah. Don't be so self-indulgent. Who cares about you? Zhou Wanqiu spat secretly. The last chapter. Let's go to bed first, and I will resume 4 updates tomorrow. Chapter 421. See you tomorrow. Zhao's catering food factory. Not far away, there is an abandoned factory. An old man in a black robe stood on the flat ground, looking at the brightly lit food factory not far away. This man was Shen Bianchao, the insect king sent by the Zhou family. He had a cold smile on his skinny and ugly face. Haha. These precious insects are enough to clean up their inventory. It's a pity that I didn't get to see that Su Chen who was praised to the sky. I want to see if he is as powerful as he is said to be. Shen Bianchao's voice just fell, and a cold shout came. Really? Since you old monster want to see me so much, if I don't come, won't I disappoint you? Shen Bianchao's face changed. He turned his head suddenly. he saw a young man walking towards him step by step. It seemed very slow, but in a blink of an eye he was 7 or 8 meters in front of him. Shen Biancheo's face was gloomy. "Are you Su Chen?" Su Chen nodded and looked at Shen Biancheo coldly. "Tell me, who sent you?" Shen Biancheo's voice was hoarse. "Boy, you are really arrogant. You dare to talk to me in this tone." Su Chen said lightly, "If you don't want to suffer, just confess obediently, and I will leave you a whole body." "Arrogant?" Shen Biancheo shouted angrily. "Boy, do you think I won't be on guard against you?" As he spoke, Shen Biancheo stomped his feet suddenly. Buzz! A strange sound came out of Shen Biancheo's mouth. It seemed to be a special musical instrument. "Come out." In an instant, all kinds of poisonous insects drilled out of the ground directly and rushed towards Su Chen. All kinds of poisonous insects also flew from the surrounding trees. For a time, all kinds of insects surrounded Su Chen. "Boy, as long as I give the order, you will be attacked by my precious insects. Even if you are bitten by 1 or 2, you will be poisoned instantly. Now, do you still dare to be arrogant with me?" Su Chen's face was normal. "Do you think these insects dare to attack me?" Shen Biancheo was stunned. His face turned cold, and he said coldly, "Looking for death." Buzz! Shen Biancheo blew the instrument in his mouth again. Suddenly, those poisonous insects attacked Su Chen overwhelmingly. But Su Chen still did not move. Shen Biancheo's face was full of sneers. This Su Chen relied on his cultivation and did not take his own insects seriously. He didn't know that his own insects were carefully cultivated from generation to generation. Each one is extremely poisonous and can easily threaten the Yuan-Qi Grandmaster. However, the next second, Shen Biancheo was stunned because he saw a shocking scene. Whether it was the poisonous insects on the ground or the flying insects in the sky, when they rushed to Su Chen, they all stopped suddenly. One by one they circled crazily, and some just circled in the same place, refusing to approach Su Chen. Shen Biancheo's face showed a look of surprise. He whistled again, urging the insects. However, those insects were like encountering natural enemies, and no matter how Shen Biancheo urged them, they refused to move forward. Shen Biancheo was shocked and stared at Su Chen. "Asshole, what have you done to my precious insects?" Su Chen said coldly, "You are just the father of these insects, but I'm their ancestor. Naturally, they are afraid of me." "Asshole, you dare to take advantage of me?" Shen Biancheo's face was furious. How could he know that Su Chen had been watered with all kinds of natural treasures since he was a child? He didn't know how many poison-repelling pills and insect-repelling medicines he had eaten. Not to mention letting these poisonous insects bite Su Chen. If Su Chen fed them a drop of blood, these poisonous insects might die on the spot. Shen Biancheo's face was extremely ugly. Su Chen didn't say anything to him. Flame energy. Su Chen raised his hand, and the energy with terrifying scorching temperature swept out. The poisonous insects flying in the sky were instantly burned and fell to the ground. Su Chen stomped his foot. Boom. The ground shook violently. All the poisonous insects on the ground burst instantly. In an instant, Shen Biancheo was furious. "Asshole, you dare to kill my baby." Shen Biancheo was extremely angry and raised his hand. Suddenly, 2 black little snakes rushed directly towards Su Chen. Su Chen raised his hand. The powerful Vajra finger. 2 terrifying energy forces directly crushed the 2 snakes in the air. "Asshole." Shen Biancheo was shocked. Su Chen's energy attack power looked amazing. "Boy, you wait." As soon as the voice fell, Shen Biancheo retreated quickly. He was known as the Insect King, and he was best at poisonous insects. As a result, the insect formation that had just ambushed Su Chen was directly ineffective. So, it was more important to run away and save his life. Shen Biancheo was very fast. He was not good at frontal combat, so he naturally paid more attention to the training of his body movement and speed. However, he had just run a distance when he found that Su Chen was behind him. In an instant, Shen Biancheo was trembling with fear. "Go to hell." Shen Biancheo turned back suddenly and sprinkled a handful of green powder directly at Su Chen. Now he did not ask to poison Su Chen, but only to slow down Su Chen's speed. However, Su Chen ignored the green powder and passed through it directly. Su Chen struck out with a palm. The terrifying vitality hit Shen Biancheo's back hard. Ah! Shen Biancheo screamed in pain and was directly blown away and fell to the ground. Su Chen stepped forward and stepped on his back. Bang! Shen Biancheo, who was about to get up, fell directly to the ground. Asshole! Let me go, otherwise you will die. Shen Biancheo, the insect king of the generation, had never suffered such humiliation. However, Su Chen snorted coldly. He raised his foot and stepped hard on Shen Biancheo. The terrifying vitality rushed into Shen Biancheo's body, destroying his meridians and danshan. Puff! Shen Biancheo spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his breath dropped sharply in an instant. You are so cruel. Shen Biancheo's face was full of resentment. He never thought that just coming to Bincheng for a mission would have all his cultivation abolished. Moreover, he might even die. Now, can you talk properly? Su Chen asked coldly. Who asked you to come? Shen Biancheo gritted his teeth and said nothing. Su Chen stepped forward and took out the mobile phone from him directly, pulling his finger to unlock the fingerprint. Shen Biancheo looked humiliated, but he was powerless to resist. Su Chen flipped through the call records and found the most recent caller. Zhu Xianzhang. Zhu Xianzhang? Are you sent by the Zhou family in the provincial capital? Su Chen looked at Shen Biancheo coldly. Shen Biancheo nodded helplessly. Su Chen snorted coldly. I told Zhu Xianzhao that the Zhou family in the provincial capital should not come to provoke me. Otherwise I don't mind going to the provincial capital. It seems that you Zhou family members don't take my word seriously. Shen Biancheo's mouth was full of blood foam, and he struggled. The Zhou family is one of the 8 major families in the provincial capital. What do you think of people like you in the eyes of the Zhou family? And you still threaten the Zhou family? Su Chen smiled coldly. What? A bad star. I want the Zhou family to completely realize what the consequences of not listening are. Shen Biancheo was stunned. Do you really dare to go to the Zhou family in the provincial capital? Su Chen ignored him at all and directly took Shen Biancheo's phone and called Zhu Xianzhang. Soon, the call was connected. On the other side, a slightly excited voice came. Shen Wang, did you succeed? What about Su Chen? What level? Su Chen's cold voice came. Sorry, he didn't succeed. As for what level I am, you will know tomorrow. Suddenly, there was a silence on the other side of the phone. Are you Su Chen? Zhu Xianzhang's voice was full of shock. Su Chen said coldly, Zhu Xianzhang, I asked Zhu Xianzhao to pass a message to you, but it seems that you don't take it seriously. In that case, let's see you tomorrow. Zhu Xianzhang was furious. How dare you threaten me? Do you know that my Zhou family in the provincial capital? Before he could speak, Su Chen hung up the phone. Beep. Hearing the dead tone coming from the phone, Zhu Xianzhang was immediately furious. Asshole. Too arrogant. Chapter 422. Shen Biancheo, the Tiger Guard. Bang. In the Zhou family compound in the provincial capital, Zhu Xianzhang smashed a teacup to the ground again. Asshole. This asshole is too rampant. Shen Biancheo is also a waste. He can't even handle such a small matter, and he was caught by Su Chen. Waste. Big waste. Clang. Zhu Xianzhang smashed a vase again. In his opinion, Su Chen's call was equivalent to a slap in the face. Zhu Xianzhang's face kept changing. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, come here. Call all the family managers. Meeting. In an instant, the Zhou family compound in the provincial capital became lively again. Soon, people who held important positions in the Zhou family gathered in the hall. Everyone looked confused and looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. Zhu Xianzhang sat on a high seat with a gloomy face. Anyone could see that something bad must have happened. Everyone, come together soon. Zhu Xianzhang gritted his teeth and said, Shen Wang failed. He has fallen into Su Chen's hands. Wow. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the crowd. No way. King Shen usually likes to hide in the dark and launch sneak attacks. How could he be caught? Isn't it because he was too careless or unlucky that he happened to run into Su Chen? This Su Chen is something. Everyone was talking about it. At this time, Zhu Xianzhang spoke again. Then Su Chen called me and said that he warned our Zhou family, but we didn't listen. Tomorrow, he will come to our door in person. As soon as these words came out, the hall exploded. All the Zhou family members felt extremely humiliated. Arsehole. He actually dared to say this. Who does he think he is? He is just a bumpkin from a small place. This guy actually dared to say this. We must kill him and wash away the shame of our Zhou family. If such a guy is still alive, it will be our greatest shame. Not only Su Chen, but also those families who are on good terms with him, will share the anger of our Zhou family with him. The Zhou family cannot be humiliated. Everyone was angry. Zhou Qianzhang nodded. That's what I meant. Pass on my order. Let our people in the provincial industrial and commercial department start to investigate the several major families that Su Chen is close to. Don't let any of the Zhao family, Qin family, and Li family in Bincheng go. Give them a notice now, and let them go early tomorrow morning. Didn't Su Chen say that he would come to the provincial capital tomorrow? We should come earlier than him. Let this bastard see the power of the Zhou family in the provincial capital. In addition, in the family, Grandmaster Li, Grandmaster Zhao, Grandmaster Liu, Grandmaster Wang, and Grandmaster Zhang, you all get ready. Also, Zishan, you are in the semi-god realm. If that bastard really dares to come tomorrow, you should be the main force. You must be fully prepared. Everyone immediately agreed. Zhou Qianzhang nodded. Such an attitude should be able to show the domineering power of the Zhou family. In terms of offense, there are people from the provincial industrial and commercial department of the Zhou family. In terms of defense, there are 5 grandmasters and Zhou Zishan in the semi-god realm. The only pity is that the 2 grandmasters Jiang Huaishan and Jiang Huaishu said that they need to recuperate and cannot come. In addition, even if Shen Shanwang was caught by Su Chen, he could not participate. The most important thing is that the powerful gods that the Zhou family is friendly with are not here. Otherwise, the 8 great masters, 1/2 god, plus a land immortal, then Su Chen, unless he is mentally retarded, would dare to come to the Zhou family to clamor. Humph. Even if there are fewer people, such a Linup is a waste of talent to deal with Su Chen. Zhou Qianzhang was full of confidence. On the other side, after Su Chen hung up the phone, Shen Bai and Cheo begged, you have finished the call, can you let me go? Su Chen sneered, have you raised insects and made yourself stupid? At this point, you still want to live? Shen Bai and Cheo was stunned. Then, Su Chen directly called Leading Guan. Mr. Su, you are back. Leading Guan's surprised voice sounded. Su Chen smiled and said, yes. Just back. Leading Guan immediately became excited. Mr. Su, you are finally back from Yicheng. You don't know. Qi Hetao, that bastard, calls me every day to provoke me. Today, Mr. Su killed so and so again, and tomorrow, Mr. Su killed so and so again. This bastard is so comfortable drinking soup with you. The most important thing is that you actually helped him to advance to the Xianshan realm. This bastard has boasted to me 180 times and even said that he would take time to come and guide my cultivation. As soon as he opened his mouth, Leading Guan's tone was full of grievance. It seems that he has been stimulated by Qi Hetao during this period of time. Mr. Su, it's a pity that we don't have forces like Long Heian and King Shenman in Bincheng. Otherwise, I can also get a big advantage from you. Su Chen shook his head and said, Team Leader Li, you can't say that. If forces like Long Heian and King Shenman are everywhere, it can only mean that your work as a tiger catching guard is too poor. On the opposite side, Leading Guan was shocked. He said ashamedly, I'm sorry, Mr. Su, I said the wrong thing. It's okay. Su Chen smiled. It's just a joke between friends. Long Heian and King Shenman don't have it. I have an insect king here, named Shen Bai and Cheo. Do you want it? The next second, a surprised voice came from the receiver. What? Insect king Shen Bai and Cheo, is he in your hands? Su Chen said, he is lying at my feet now. Leading Guan was overjoyed. Yes. Mr. Su, I want this insect king. This bastard is on our wanted list of the tiger guards. In order to raise insects, he used the villagers of a village to raise insects alive in a remote mountain village. Later, we kept looking for him. As a result, this guy hid his head and showed his tail. I didn't expect to run into your hands today. Wait for me. I'll be there soon. Su Chen reported the location to leading Yuan, and the two hung up the phone. The next moment, Su Chen's eyes were cold. He didn't know before that Shen Bianchao was so vicious and had such a blood crime. Shen Bianchao saw Su Chen's eyes, and his heart suddenly chilled. What do you want to do? Shen Bianchao's eyes were filled with fear. Su Chen said coldly, you really have no conscience to raise insects with the villagers of a village. I didn't expect that you, a bastard, would be such a scumbag. Even if you are caught by the Tiger Guard, you will be sentenced to death directly. But in this case, it will be too easy for you. As soon as the voice fell, Su Chen raised his hand, and several streams of energy hit Shen Bianchao's key acupuncture points. In an instant, Shen Bianchao's senses were magnified dozens of times. Su Chen tapped Shen Bianchao a few more times. Ah! A miserable cry instantly resounded through the night sky. As a genius doctor, Su Chen understood best how to make people more painful. Shen Bianchao screamed in pain. In order not to disturb others, Su Chen directly sealed his mute point. In order to prevent Shen Bianchao from biting his tongue to commit suicide, Su Chen also specially removed his jaw. Shen Bianchao rolled in pain. His mouth grew big, but there was no sound. Even if he wanted to beg Su Chen, he couldn't open his mouth. Su Chen just stood aside, not even looking at him, quietly waiting for leading Yuan to come. Shen Bianchao was soaked in sweat and blood, and felt that life was worse than death. His face was hideous and his eyes twitched. If he could speak, what he wanted to say must be, you bastards of the Tiger Guard, can you hurry up? Come and kill me. Bastard leading Yuan, come and catch me. For the first time in his life, Shen Bianchao was so looking forward to the Tiger Guard. Chapter 423 Get ready. It seemed that he heard Shen Bianchao's plea. Soon, leading Yuan drove over. After getting off the car, leading Yuan greeted Su Chen first. Then, he saw Shen Bianchao, who was covered in blood and had a painful look on his face. Leading Yuan was stunned. Mr. Su, what's wrong with this guy? Su Chen said, after listening to you introduce the old bastard's crimes, I felt that it would be too easy for him to be executed directly in your place. Leading Yuan understood immediately. He smiled and said, Mr. Su, you really can't tolerate any sand in your eyes. Indeed, such a bastard will basically be executed after we, the Tiger Guards, have convicted him. We hate him so much, but most of us can only do this. You can be regarded as venting our anger for us. Su Chen smiled. Official institutions are naturally different from people like himself who are unorganized and undisciplined. Okay, take him away, Su Chen said, and untied the torture on Shen Bianchao. Who? Shen Bianchao breathed a sigh of relief. He yelled, leading Yuan, take me away quickly. Quickly. He was really scared. Hearing this, leading Yuan almost laughed out of anger. He walked forward and kicked Shen Bianchao. Bang. Shen Bianchao grimaced in pain. Leading Yuan cursed, you old beast, don't you understand the situation yet? You're still ordering me around. Be honest. As he spoke, leading Yuan knocked Shen Bianchao unconscious and threw him into the car. Then, leading Yuan walked back and asked, Mr. Su, how did this bastard fall into your hands? Su Chen explained, it was the Zhou family in the provincial capital. He was ordered by Zhou Xianhang of the Zhou family to deal with the Zhou family. Leading Yuan suddenly realized, no wonder we tracked down this bastard and found no trace after we arrived in the provincial capital. It turned out that the Zhou family was behind it. Su Chen nodded and said, tomorrow, I'm going to go to the Zhou family in the provincial capital. What? Leading Yuan was shocked. Mr. Su, you should think twice. The Zhou family in the provincial capital is one of the 8 major families in the provincial capital, and it is very important. Leading Yuan dissuaded him. Su Chen looked at leading Yuan and asked, Team Leader Li, I want to know if there are any powerful people in the Zhou family in the provincial capital? Land immortals. Leading Yuan pondered for a while. He said, I don't know if there are any land immortals. After all, this level of combat power is not something I can get in touch with at all. However, there should be a strong person in the semi-god realm in the Zhou family, named Su Chen. He is a member of the Zhou family's side branch. Mr. Su, I suggest that you discuss it with our Captain Qin before going to the Zhou family. She should have a deeper understanding of the Zhou family in the provincial capital. Su Chen pondered for a moment, Qin Mei. To be honest, he didn't particularly want to have more contact with Qin Mei. In the end, Su Chen shook his head. That's it for now. I'm sorry to bother you with this trip. Leading Yuan smiled. I should be the one thanking you, Mr. Su. Then I'll leave. Leading Yuan drove away. Su Chen stood there, thinking for a while. Then, he turned and walked towards the factory of Zhao's catering group. The food factory had been cleaned up. It seemed that nothing had happened. The firefighters and the ambulance arrived and left. The insect plague had been resolved, and the firefighters could only return empty-handed. With Su Chen's treatment, basically everyone was fine. Only some of the more serious ones followed the ambulance to the hospital for recuperation. Although Zhao Pingjiang was also seriously ill, he was almost recovered by Su Chen's treatment, so he did not go to the hospital. When Su Chen came back, Zhou Wanqiu had not left yet. Why didn't you go home? Su Chen asked. Before, he asked Zhou Wanqiu to take Zhao Pingjiang home first. Zhou Wanqiu said with a straight face, waiting for you. I don't know why you ran out with the poisonous bees. You show off every day. Su Chen smiled. This is Zhou Wanqiu. Even if he does something that warms people's hearts, he will not forgive others. As for Su Chen's previous request, to catch the person who released the insects, Zhou Wanqiu did not ask at all. In her opinion, Su Chen came back empty-handed, so he must not have caught him. It was probably useless to ask. Su Chen stepped forward, helped Zhao Pingjiang, who was still a little shaky, and put him in the car. Zhou Wanqiu turned around and told the factory director Shan Geheng, Director Shan, remember to send more people on duty and keep an eye on it. Shan Geheng said quickly, okay, Mr. Zhao. Zhou Wanqiu nodded and drove away. Shan Geheng watched the car go away, with many puzzles in her heart. This Su Chen actually came with Mr. Zhao in the middle of the night. Do they live very close? And this Su Chen's methods are quite powerful. On the other side, Su Chen and Zhou Wanqiu quickly returned to the Zhao family villa. Zhao Rongchang and Zhao Giran came to greet them. Su Chen treated Zhao Pingjiang again, and Zhao Pingjiang became more sober. Uncle Zhao's injury is not serious, just take a good rest, Su Chen said. Zhao Pingjiang said with gratitude, Zhao Chen, thank you this time. You saved my life again. Now, Zhao Pingjiang has accepted Su Chen very much. On the side, Zhao Wanqiu said, Dad, when you received a call from Director Shan, why didn't you ask me to go with you? Otherwise, you wouldn't be bitten by a poisonous snake. Zhao Pingjiang smiled awkwardly and said, I thought it was not a big deal. Who knew it would be so scary? Fortunately, Zhao Chen is here to help us solve this trouble, and save me, and so many workers. Zhao Rongchang said on the side, Zhao Chen, thank you for saving our Zhao family again. Su Chen smiled. Zhao Giran also echoed, yes. Zhao Chen is a child, honest and dutiful, and he is also very capable. On the side, Zhao Wanqiu curled his lips. Su Chen, this guy, is quite capable. But honesty and dutifulness have nothing to do with him. Out there are so many wild women. Zhao Wanqiu would only say this in his heart, not daring to say it out loud. Zhao Rongchang asked, how did Su Chen solve those bugs? Zhao Wanqiu immediately became interested. I'll tell you, Grandpa, you won't believe it. Grandpa, Su Chen just made a few small flags and put a piece of medicinal material, and the bugs came over by themselves. He just set a gas tank on fire and burned all the bugs to death. Su Chen also said, what kind of formation is this? Is this a joke? Grandpa, do you believe this thing? Zhao Rongchang nodded and said seriously, I believe it. Huh. Zhao Wanqiu was stunned. She originally wanted to make a few allies for herself, but Grandpa believed it. Zhao Rongchang looked at Su Chen and said, your grandfather was so powerful back then. He has all kinds of tricks, which amaze me and make me think he is a god. Su Chen smiled. Indeed, Grandpa is more powerful. How about that, Grandpa Zhao? Tell me about my grandfather's past. Zhao Rongchang rolled his eyes and grinned. That won't work. Since your grandfather didn't tell you, I can't tell you. When you see your grandfather in the future, ask him yourself. Ha ha ha. Looking at Zhao Rongchang's proud look, Su Chen was helpless. However, speaking of grandpa, Su Chen did miss the old man a little. I just don't know where grandpa is now. Su Chen was also very curious about what the old man was busy with every day. In the past, he could never beat grandpa. Now, he is almost close to the realm of gods, and he doesn't know if he is his opponent. Everyone chatted for a while, and the Zhou family thanked Su Chen profusely. Then, Su Chen and the others went back to the bedroom upstairs to sleep. After tossing and turning in the middle of the night, Zhou Wanqiu fell asleep quickly. Su Chen continued to close his eyes and used an ethereal visualization technique to condense his yin spirit. He was preparing for tomorrow's trip to the Zhou family in the provincial capital. There is one more chapter, which will be out in about 10 minutes. Thank you everyone. Good night. Chapter 424, Killing at Your Door. The next morning, Zhou Wanqiu woke up late. After all, she was exhausted after tossing and turning for half the night. Although Su Chen woke up, he still sat cross-legged on the floor, practicing his qigong. Ding-ling-ling. A rapid ring rang. Zhou Wanqiu sat up in a daze. She was sleepy and annoyed. Su Chen, can you turn off your phone so early in the morning? Don't you know that it's disturbing other people's sleep? Zhou Wanqiu was also very irritable when she woke up. However, Su Chen said lightly, "It's your phone." Zhou Wanqiu was stunned. She quickly looked at her phone. Sure enough, it was her phone ringing. Zhou Wanqiu blushed and answered it quickly. What? Zhou Wanqiu's face suddenly changed and she screamed. Su Chen immediately looked at Zhou Wanqiu. Zhou Wanqiu said hurriedly, "Don't worry, I'll be there soon." Zhou Wanqiu hung up the phone, rushed into the bathroom to wash up, grabbed her bag, and was about to go out. Su Chen, I'm in a hurry to go to the company. I won't wait for you. Take a taxi yourself. Zhou Wanqiu said as she was about to go out. Su Chen asked hurriedly, what happened in the company? Zhou Wanqiu looked anxious. I don't know why the people from the provincial industrial and commercial department suddenly came to the company for inspection. I have to go over and deal with it quickly. Our group operates legally and in compliance with regulations, so there shouldn't be any problems. After saying that, Zhou Wanqiu went out directly. A trace of solemnity flashed across Su Chen's face. People from the provincial industrial and commercial department came to Bincheng to investigate Zhao's catering group. Moreover, it was a surprise inspection without any notice. No matter how you look at it, it seems that they are here with bad intentions. Ding-ling-ling. A phone rang. Su Chen took out his mobile phone, but his expression was stunned. It was actually Qin Qingmui's call. Why did this powerful captain of the special operations team of the Tiger Guard come to him so early in the morning? Su Chen answered the phone. Su Chen, the people from the provincial industrial and commercial department raided Zhao's catering group. You should know about this, right? Qin Qingmui said. Su Chen was stunned. Captain Qin, how do you know? Qin Qingmui said, this is the action of the Zhou family in the provincial capital. And, it's not just the Zhou family in Bincheng that's targeted. There are also the Li family and the Qin family, both of which are families that you have a good relationship with. Su Chen was immediately furious. The Zhou family in the provincial capital must be expressing their attitude. It's obvious that they want to challenge him. Good. Very good. Su Chen's eyes turned cold. Thank you, Captain Qin, for giving me this news. Su Chen thanked. Qin Qingmui said lightly, you're welcome. I heard from leading Guilin that you are going to the Zhou family in the provincial capital. Yes. Su Chen did not deny it. Qin Qingmui said, but there is a land immortal in the Zhou family in the provincial capital. Although he is not here, if you kill people in the Zhou family in the provincial capital, he will definitely take revenge on you when he comes back. Maybe he can't kill you, but it's not difficult for him to destroy the Zhou family, the Li family, and the Qin family. Su Chen was a little annoyed. Although the land immortals are very powerful, Su Chen is also confident that he can protect himself. Even if the land immortals explicitly say that they want to protect the Zhou family, he can kill people and leave. But if any land immortal attacks someone Su Chen cares about, he may not be able to protect them. Su Chen frowned slightly and asked, Captain Qin, can you help me protect the Zhou family, the Li family, and the Qin family? Qin Qingmui chuckled. I'm afraid not now. The injuries on my body have seriously affected my cultivation. I can't resist the strong in the divine realm for the time being. Su Chen pondered for a while. He said, well, Captain Qin, I will find a way to help you recover from your injuries. However, the people from the provincial industrial and commercial department, please help me calm them down and don't let them mess around. Qin Qingmui said, okay, but you have to try to be quick. I'm helping you bear the pressure from the Zhou family now, but if you haven't cured me, when the Zhou family's gods come, I may not be able to bear it. Su Chen nodded. Don't worry, I already have an idea for your injury. Deal. Qin Qingmui laughed. Seeing that Qin Qingmui agreed so readily, Su Chen felt that he seemed to have been cheated. However, there is no free lunch in the world. If he cures this woman, he will have a thug of a strong god in his hand. It is definitely impossible to cure her just once. At least, he will have to use her 8 or 10 times. Su Chen's mouth also curled up with a smile. Who will gain and who will lose? It's really hard to say. Qin Qingmui and Su Chen both hung up the phone with satisfied smiles. With Qin Qingmui's protection, Su Chen was relieved about Bincheng base camp. Su Chen looked up and looked into the distance. He smiled coldly. Zhou family, since you want to fight me head on, let's try it. Then, Su Chen went directly to the provincial capital. At this time, the Zhou family in the provincial capital. The whole Zhou family was in a solemn atmosphere. In the hall, there were not only important leaders of various departments of the Zhou family, but also various bodyguards and worshippers. Zhou Xianzhang sat in the main seat and asked, have our people from the Industrial and Commercial Bureau gone to Bincheng? Zhou Xianzhao quickly replied, Brother Zhang, they have. They sent a letter from Bincheng saying that they are going straight to the headquarters of Zhao's catering group. Their president, Zhou Wanqiu, was so scared that she didn't even put on makeup and hurried over. Zhou Xianzhang laughed heartily. Ha ha ha. That's exactly it. I guess this kid Su Chen already knows what we are doing. We just have to tell him. The Zhou family is not someone he can mess with. Then, Zhou Xianzhang turned his head and looked at Zhou Zishan. Zishan, how is the security arrangement for the Zhou family compound going? Zhou Zishan said in a deep voice, all the forces have been arranged. There are more than a dozen Zhuanjin masters guarding the gate and patrolling. The 5 Yuan key masters, Li, Zhao, Liu, Wang, and Zhang, are waiting at the second gate. When you hear any movement, go over to support and kill Su Chen immediately. If they are defeated, I will take action again. Follow your arrangement, and try not to let Su Chen enter the gate of the Zhou family. Zhou Xianzhang nodded. Right. That's what we have to do. Isn't Su Chen going to attack our Zhou family? We won't let him even get through the door. All the Zhou family members were also excited. They started to discuss. The old man of the Zhou family is so domineering. Su Chen will definitely go back crying. Go back. I don't think he will ever go back in his lifetime. That's right. If you want to show off to our Zhou family, you found the wrong person. I guess that guy Su Chen may not even dare to come. He's just bragging. Ha ha ha. At this moment, boom. There was a loud bang, and it suddenly exploded. Ah. Ah. One scream after another resounded throughout the Zhou family compound. What happened? Everyone was startled. At this moment, a servant ran over with a terrified look on his face. Zhou Xianzhang shouted angrily, stand still. Look at you. What do you look like? Tell me, what happened outside? The servants' legs trembled, and they said in fear, oh no. Su Chen is coming to kill us. The door of our Zhou family was kicked down by him. The Zhuanjin masters and their worshippers who were guarding the door were killed by him with one palm. Everyone's face suddenly changed. The 4th update is here. Good night everyone. Thank you for your support. Chapter 425 1 dead and 1 disabled. All the Zhou family members were shocked. Not only did Su Chen come, but he was also killing people. What does this mean? This is a slap in the face of the Zhou family. Asshole. He actually dared to come. Kill him. We must hang his body to wash away the shame of our Zhou family. Kill him. We must also bring down the Zhao family, the Li family, and the Qin family. All the Zhou family members were excited. Zhou Xianzhang's face was also extremely gloomy. He gritted his teeth and said, where are the 5 great masters? Didn't they go there? The servant hurriedly said, the 5 great masters have gone there. Now, they are probably fighting with that Su Chen. Hearing this, all the Zhou family members smiled. With the 5 great masters taking action, it is estimated that the boy's body will be sent here soon. Yes, he alone, even if he is at the peak of the innate realm, will not be a match for the 5 great masters. At this time, someone else asked, should we go over and take a look? Zhu Xianzhang said coldly, if we go over, doesn't that prove that we are afraid of him? I will stay here and wait for Su Chen's body to be brought over. The other Zhou family members immediately responded, yes, this is the style of the future head of my Zhou family. At this time, Zhu Zishan frowned slightly. He slowly said, I think we should not be too careless. That Su Chen is not simple. Why don't I go over and take a look first? What if the 5 great masters are really not his opponents? I can still help in time. Zhu Xianzhang frowned slightly. He always felt that if Zhu Zishan, who was in the semi-god realm, joined forces with the other 5 great masters to deal with Su Chen, it would not be glorious even if he won. Wait a minute. I believe in the 5 great masters. Zhu Xianzhang said. A trace of worry flashed in Zhu Zishan's eyes. At this moment, another servant ran over in a hurry. Zhu Xianzhang asked hurriedly, what happened? Was Su Chen taken down by the 5 great masters? The servant said with a sad face, no. Master Zhang was killed, and Master Li was crippled. The other 3 masters are also in danger. What? For a moment, everyone in the hall changed their faces. It had only been less than a minute or 2, and that included the time it took the servant to run over. In such a short time, 2 masters had already fallen. This was too scary. Zhu Zishan was about to speak and say that he wanted to go over. Another servant ran over. Not good. Not good. Master Zhao was also killed, and Master Liu was crippled. In an instant, the whole hall was completely silent. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Zhu Xianzhang murmured. At this time, Zhu Zishan didn't care about Zhu Xianzhang's orders and rushed out directly. The other Zhou family members naturally followed him out. Even if they didn't believe it, they knew that the Zhou family might really have reached a moment of life and death. In fact, whether the Zhou family could survive depended on whether Zhu Zishan could deal with Su Chen. For a moment, only Zhu Xianzhang, who was sitting in the first seat, was left in the entire hall. Zhu Xianzhang was still stunned at this moment. He never thought that a country boy would dare to knock on the door of the Zhou family in the provincial capital. Moreover, he killed more than a dozen Zhuanjin masters in the family. Even several grandmasters were killed. Even if Zhu Zishan could kill Su Chen, the reputation of the Zhou family in the provincial capital would probably plummet. Before, Zhu Xianzhang had just defeated Zhu Xianyi and became the acting head of the Zhou family. This time, he might lose his current position again. At a certain moment, Zhu Xianzhang suddenly regretted it. He shouldn't have ignored Su Chen's warning and provoked him. But it's too late to say anything now. He can only kill Su Chen first to save the family's face. Then, he has hope to continue to sit in the position of acting head of the family. Thinking of this, Zhu Xianzhang hurriedly ran out and ran towards the gate. And at the gate of the Zhou family. 5 minutes ago, Su Chen hurried all the way to the gate of the Zhou family. As one of the 8 major families in the provincial capital, the Zhou family naturally attaches great importance to its appearance. The gate of the Zhou family is magnificent. 2 huge stone lions guard the gate, looking mighty and domineering. A huge plaque with the word Zhou Mansion written on it, in a flamboyant style. At the door, warriors in training clothes kept walking back and forth. They looked alert and looked around. Da-da-da. The crisp footsteps sounded slowly. Everyone looked up and looked at one end of the road. I saw a young man coming to the front of the gate. It was Su Chen. Boy, get out. This is not a place you can come to. A dark force martial artist shouted loudly. Su Chen asked, is this the Zhou family, one of the 8 great families in the provincial capital? The dark force martial artist said impatiently, are you blind? Didn't you see that big plaque? Except for the Zhou family, one of the 8 great families, do other families with the surname Zhou dare to hang this sign? Get out of here. Su Chen smiled coldly, it's fine as long as it's the Zhou family, one of the 8 great families. I'm afraid I found the wrong one. As soon as the words fell, Su Chen stepped out. Boom. A huge crack blew towards the gate of the Zhou family. Boom. The entire gate collapsed in half in an instant. Instantly, countless bodyguards and worshippers surrounded him. This man is Su Chen. This bastard is here. Kill him. Master Zhu has said that, if you kill this kid, you will be rewarded 100 million. There must be brave men under a heavy reward. Suddenly, a group of dark force martial artists and Zhou Wanqiu masters rushed up directly. Some were unarmed, and some were holding knives and swords. Su Chen snorted coldly, looking for death. He flashed his footsteps, and stepped on the wandering steps. In an instant, everyone saw a figure flash by, and then was hit by a palm. Bang, bang, bang. In less than 10 seconds, everyone fell to the ground, as if struck by lightning. For a moment, the only people standing at the scene, except Su Chen, were some Bincheng warriors who didn't dare to rush up at the beginning. The eyes of these people were full of fear, as if they were looking at a demon god. Su Chen took a step forward. Boom. Dozens of Bincheng warriors retreated instantly. At this moment, a fierce shout came. "Arsehole, don't be so presumptuous." Then, 5 figures intercepted in front of Su Chen. Everyone's body was full of vitality. At least they were all in the late Xiantian stage. Suddenly, the Bincheng warriors were overjoyed. The 5 great masters are here. This kid is dead. Su Chen looked at the 5 people in front of him coldly. Among these 5 people, there are middle-aged people and old men. Some are unarmed, and some are holding knives and swords. The leader is an old man holding a red tassel spear. "Boy, get out of here right now. I'll spare your life." The old man also saw Su Chen's move just now, and didn't want to have a direct conflict with him. Su Chen smiled coldly. "Where's Zhu Xian's? Don't you dare to come out to see me? You dare to send people to Bincheng, but you don't dare to come to see me. It's really funny. Today, I won't leave until the Zhu family is afraid to apologize." The old man's face suddenly became ugly. "Then you are looking for death. Go." With an order, 5 people went out at the same time. Master Li punched Su Chen from the left. Master Zhao slashed at Su Chen's right shoulder from the front. Master Liu slid his sword towards Su Chen's abdomen. Master Wang stabbed Su Chen's heart with a gun. Master Zhang hit Su Chen's crown with a palm. In an instant, the 5 people went out together. Su Chen sneered, stepped on the wandering cloud step, and used the undefeated golden body with golden light all over his body. In an instant, he dodged a gunshot and avoided a knife. Ding. Then, the undefeated golden body blocked the sword. Su Chen faced Master Zhang with a palm. Boom. The terrifying black thunder energy poured into Master Zhang's body like a mountain pressing down on his head. Boom. Master Zhang flew backwards and his body exploded. Su Chen turned around and punched Master Li with the 7 wounds fist again. Puff. A mouthful of blood spurted out. Master Li fell to the ground hard, dying. The first round. 5 masters, 1 dead and 1 disabled. Everyone was stunned instantly. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.